Start the broadcasting here, and Flint, you can start as well, please.
Yep, YouTube's live.
And we're live on Facebook. You can go ahead, Rick.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. Are you ready for a cost-effective, successfully proven innovation in pain relief? You need wait no longer. Introducing the Keshe Pain Pad. Using plasma technology, which is based on magnetic gravitational field interaction, the Keshe Pain Pad emits plasma fields that penetrate up to 3 centimeters below the skin, helping to bring the body back to balance. The Keshe Pain Pad offers a natural way to relieve acute and chronic pain for both young and old. All you have to do is apply the pad on affected areas for 1 or 2 hours once or twice a day. It's made with adaptive elastics that can form organically and comfortably to the contours of your body. It has no moving parts or batteries. It's lightweight, durable, easy to wear, and easy to remove. The Keshe Pain Pad successfully reduces muscular pain, tendinitis, wrist pain, carpal tunnel syndrome, back pain, pain from sprains and strains, and knee pain, just to name a few. For a full list of relievable pains, consult the owner's manual or go to our website at www.keshefoundation.org. The Keshe Pain Pad, a cost-effective, successfully proven natural way to relieve your pain. The Kesh Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Kesh Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Kesh Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Kesh Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 149th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute. And once again, we are gathered here on Thursday, December 8th, 2016. Another Thursday with Mr. Kesh of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute. And we'll hear of a number of topics, the latest developments and happenings around the world in relation to the Kesh technology. And also we're to have a demonstration or a visit with John and Armin on the detection and the creation of fields, in particular of a spaceship. And that sounds like an interesting topic. So let's move into the workshop. I think Mr. Kesh is ready to go there. Hello, Mr. Kesh?
Yes.
Sorry, just need to break in for a sec. Please, can somebody start the recording?
Cloud recording, yeah.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a full version of it.
And we do on live stream as well and so on. So, okay. Shall we carry on?
Can we go ahead?
Yes, we go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Kesh.
Yes. Good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever, whenever you listen to these knowledge seekers workshops. We are nearly entering the completion of the third year of teaching. We actually passed 3 years of teaching. As we know, we started long before we started what we call There is regular 149 teaching. We're exactly over 3 years we've been teaching, and we're still learning new pieces every day, every time we meet. We learn a lot today. There is a lot of developments, and as we said, we start going into the phase of the spaceship development, the field development, and this has been going on for some time with 2-3 groups. And one of the groups of the innovation is the Keshe Foundation Arizona. Keshe Foundation Arizona has manufacturing, and they do research and development, and we'll see how they are developing the space fields for the creation of the see the behavior pattern, how the next step after this will be the solid state body, tangible physical body of the reactor. We see fields we've never seen before, and expansion of fields, and small units and the rest. This morning teaching is mainly, will be left for at least an hour or so with Arizona, with John, and all the pitfalls and the successes and the way different aspects of it. This is important. As we said, we are entering the phase of the space development, space technology, that we can understand more how the physical, tangible shape of the spaceship will come into operation. Before we go there, there's a number of announcements that we have to make as usual, and then we start. First of all, we have received a request in respect to the Italian situation, and what we have been asked for by the Italian, what we call civil protection, is that they want us to make announcement that they are asking for supporters of the Keshe Foundation in Italy to get involved with civil defense projects. There are a number of people still in camps, and we've been asked to ask our Italian supporters, please get in touch with Sabrina or get in touch with Giovanni for the next step development of the bringing Keshe Foundation into the civil defense of Italy. The announcement is from us to all our supporters in Italy. We supported the civil defense, and they now been checking and working with Sabrina and Giovanni, and now they are allowing the next step into this process. They're asking that we make this announcement. We need more KF volunteers, and more patches can be made available to public. They have asked us to make this announcement today. From all our Italian supporters, we have been working on this to support the civil defense for the past earthquakes and the accidents. And now the colonel who is in charge of the civil protection of the Italian civil defense has personally asked the request the Keshe Foundation supporters for more support. They have seen the results, they have seen the effectiveness of the patches and the other things, and so in response to all the hard work you did in Austria, in France, in Germany, in Holland, and neighboring countries to Italy to support in that earthquake, all the patches you sent, it has paid off. So the colonel who is a civil defense officer, after working with the Keshe Foundation for over a year now, has asked for the next step of development and asked for the support of the Keshe Foundation, Italian and the neighboring countries, to supply up more patches. Is Sabrina in the background? Do we see Sabrina? If she is online, she can ask, she can tell us more. Rick, do you see her on the panel?
Just having a look there now.
Can you raise your hand, Sabrina, if you're there? So this is an official request we make from the Keshe Foundation. We've been requested by civil defense heads of Italian what we call civil defense for further assistance and involvement of the Keshe Foundation in civil defense in Italy. They are requesting for more patches as they have used them and seen their effectiveness. If you don't, do you see her?
I'm not seeing Sabrina at this point. There's somebody with their hand up, but it's a Chinese.
We have Giovanni with us if he's okay.
This has come from Sabrina this morning.
Okay.
If Giovanni has anything to add, let us know, please. Giovanni. Good morning, Giovanni. Good morning. Could you add to this, please, what we received from Sabrina?
No, I don't see nothing, but I have contact with the colonel every time that he have news and so on. He explained to me that the situation in Italy was in central Italy was very difficult, and I don't. Hello.
Yes, carry on.
Yes, and it's this time it is the worst of the earthquake of L'Aquila, and because there are a lot of people that have a problem, and this time the municipal asked to us to help with the patches and so on. I know that from the last time that there was the big earthquake, it started to open a new small volcano in the central of Italy that there wasn't before. Now it's active and push away and fuse soil, and they was very scared about this because when it's open the ground, it starts to have this activity, and it's the opposite part of Vesuvio, and so on the line of the fracture. And for this reason, it's very unusual the situation in respect of all earthquakes that there are before in Italy. And for this reason, the Civil Protection asked to us the maximum effort for give to them the patch and so on, because they find this kind of thing a very good support for the people. And the interesting thing is that it's the first time that the government recognize and ask to us in this way our device and support for the people, because they usually use something products that are official or medical products. So in this way, when they ask to us this, they put our product to the same line, and so it's important this because they recognize that this kind of product really help the people.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. What is the position now? We need to understand, because this is the request we received from Sabrina. They have asked her, because she works with them directly with you. So if you see Sabrina online, she can explain to us what they are expecting of us, what do they want, and how the Italian support and European support has to be.
The situation is this: there are a lot of people that now are in big band and some hotels and so on that are in a very difficult way, and they need some system for all. They need the very big problem is the emotional shock that they have, because they now it's after a long time that they are without home and in the state of emergency. In any case, there are problem of health, so the patch can be really help them. But this is are people that need all, and so what is possible to give to them is good. For example, as I said before, patch, pen pen, magabs, and so on. They can find very well, because there are some people that don't want to leave their house, and so they live in the house that are completely broken or without electricity or water and so on, and stay there. The rest of family is go in the tent or the other place, but these people remain to live in this zone that are dangerous too. And for this reason, they need to come back to the family and to take back their life to the normal, the support for help and for make energy and medical improvements and so on.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Giovanni. Thank you for everything you're doing in Italy. We have to let you know that we, in the Keshe Foundation Italy, on the decontamination of the waters, has now working directly with what we call local governments for decontamination. They have done testing on the water cleanup with the situation which is extremely serious in the north of Italy, and what we have seen from the water testing by the local authorities themselves, after using the Keshe Foundation plasma technology, is so effective that we have, and in the next couple of weeks you will hear in most of the Italian press this development. The extent of the work is that there are what we call water decontamination process is so effective that one of the major problems in North Italy now has been tested to be able for our system to work and reduce the contamination by around about 45%. This is one of the major problems at the moment in part of Italy, and there has been no solution as such. So the test which started about 2 months ago, now the data has been received and is getting further developed. And this will be announced because it can be used worldwide in collaboration and cooperation with the Italian Keshe Foundation and decontamination. On the same basis, as most of you know, there was a massive earthquake on the site of the Fukushima past couple of weeks of a high order of magnitude. And we saw a problem with reactor number 3 in Fukushima. On the back of this accident, we announced openly, Keshe Foundation and TEPCO have now start talk direct and negotiation. Before, we had an intermediary company which was set up by TEPCO. In our meeting this morning at TEPCO, the steps are taken. We are negotiating directly. This is the second meeting we had in past 2 weeks with TEPCO. Keshe Foundation this time as organization will get involved, not through an intermediary, with TEPCO, with sorting out further problem at Fukushima. We'll keep you fully informed. This is one of the major concerns, as we know, in United States on the West Coast, a number of nuclear reactors that could be accidentally damaged if something happens like massive earthquakes. So we need the collaboration the way we've done before. Now it'll be done on open channels directly between TEPCO and Keshe Foundation. We thank the directors of TEPCO for the step taken. We still work openly, and any support, any development will be shared through IAEA, and decision made between us and TEPCO to go public with. This is important for all of us, and this will reflect in the work of the Keshe Foundation. As we said, by the conference and the collaboration between Ghana Atomic Energy Commission and the Keshe Foundation, and opening of the factory in Ghana, establishment of the master degrees and PhDs in line with the work to support nuclear atomic commissions and IAEA in different fields that has started extensively. The position for the Keshe Foundation internationally and scientifically has changed. It is for all of us to register the data. Whatever, it might be very trivial to you, you achieved something, but to men of science and men of nuclear and plasma technology could be something we've been looking for. It is important that we register all our testimonials. We have seen some abuse of testimonials by what we call the people who are rogues. We respond to your cleverness very shortly. We have asked and will act accordingly. Those of you who have done a small test, something to you is very trivial, but you see something which is you haven't seen before, register that Keshe Foundation testimonial on the right condition. Because somebody who understands what you have achieved can push and copy and contact you and move it back into the Wikipedia which is getting set up. The Keshe Wiki program which is coming up can become a center for all these little knowledges that might be trivial to you, but important scientifically. Our 16-day test result completed and the report from Tokyo University confirms the total non-toxicity of the GANS material on the body of the man. The report will be completed and be submitted to 3 governments for further steps in development of the technology. The cell test, the phase 2 starts on Monday, and by the end of the week we should have the total non-toxicity report on the cell and the destruction of the cancer cells. As we already have done this before, but as part of the clinical trial has to be done, that the process is complete within the structure of the university and within the laws and the limitations which is put by the technology and the world of the science. After Christmas, direct live result testing of the cancer patients and mouse will start in 3 countries. The paperwork has been drawn up for it, and they take us about a week, 2 weeks for the final phase of it. So full human animal test trials will start in 3-4 different countries around the world in respect to the cancer, and then malaria. We have managed to complete, and we announce the following: 50 seats as a master degree 2-year course has been set up and agreed between the Keshe Foundation Ghana, Keshe Foundation Worldwide, KFSSI, with the University of Ghana, Accra University. 20 seats has been confirmed and will be held for Ghanaian scientists who want to do further development in masters and PhDs. We have 30 seats available for Pan-Africans and the rest of the world who want to join in this research and development. The Keshe Foundation Ghana will support the 20 students for their education, which means we support for the payment of their fees to the university. The whole structure of the teaching today in the agriculture will be on a full accredited level university, so you get a PhD from university. Same time, we will link these PhDs and masters with other universities, so it will be joint collaboration teaching. What this means is that you do not need to come to Ghana. Teachings will be on the live screen in 2 or 3 different universities. If you want to be hand-on development, you can join Ghana, Accra University. You'll be in the fields with Ghana Atomic. And at the same time, the classroom teaching will be, you are as a student and you'll sit in the classroom, maybe somewhere where we announce it, maybe 2 or 3 continents, which is easier for you than coming to Africa. And you become part of what your accreditation and your degree will be issued from Accra University. This allows the total teaching and the spread of the knowledge worldwide and does not limit us to one place. Chinese do this very effectively in their high-level teaching and research and operation for years. We have learned from the Chinese teaching. As I said to you, I was shown this when I was in China some 8 years ago, how they do it effectively. And now we use the fingerprints from Chinese teaching, that students do not need to be in one lecture room. Across the nation, people sit in the classrooms with live presentations and testing. So we follow on the back of what we've done up to now, but there are 50 seats available, which 30 is for international students. If you want to join and get a master's degree in agriculture from Ghana, Accra, with collaboration with Ghana Atomic University. Ghana, what we call KF Ghana production products will be in the market by Monday, Tuesday of next week. These products are targeted for Ghana and for Ghanaian need. But you will see these on the Keshe Foundation website, the main website, not on Keshe Foundation Ghana. We have established, if you want to go on the website, most probably by today or tomorrow, depends on our webmasters, how they do it by Monday. You can go on kfghana.com, kfghana.org, keshefoundation.org, keshefoundationghana.com. They all bring you to one site. In the coming weeks, we'll change the structure of the website, you will see. But the products produced in Ghana, there are some new innovations in the structure and the materials and the products. They all are certificated before submitting or marketing. We market and we produce everything directly from Ghana Atomic Commission. The factories within the security boundaries of the government, and everything will be supplied through the what we call the structure of our Keshe Foundation Ghana factory. The factory is more, the workers have been there for some time now. They've been trained, and the first products expected by most probably tomorrow or by Monday. These products will be delivered on 2 different levels. If you order it, it's your responsibility to make sure that your government or your what we call customs allow the entry. In Ghana and the neighboring countries, we have no problem, as we have the Ghanaian certificate for distribution and standard. These are water decontamination, new water decontamination systems that are beautifully done. You will see it. It's a new energy system which fits into the Ghanaian structure for the energy. It's new plasma waters for health and other applications which will be marketed in different sizes. It's for burn, it's for pain and everything else. And this structure will add up in the coming weeks. We're marketing the soaps for different applications, and then it's targeted totally for African market because there is a huge need and demand for it. We welcome the new incoming government of Ghana, has been re-elected last night. We support Ghanaian nation in every effort that we do. On the other hand, we have to go into the steps of what we have achieved and what is getting achieved. And in the coming 2 weeks, be ready for a very important announcement from the Keshe Foundation worldwide. This will change a lot of things around the Keshe Foundation internationally, and we will announce it once we have completed our work. We've been asked by John that if he can do his presentation earlier on because it's 2 or 3 o'clock in Arizona. So we give the ground to John. This, you have to understand, is a raw test material. Is absolutely what they have done. Success, failure, observation. We all observe what they have achieved. And then it's for the rest of the Keshe Foundation and scientific world around the Keshe Foundation to start looking and developing. There is a lot more can be done on the back of what you see from the Research Innovation Center in Arizona. Arizona factory has already gone into production and they start delivering the first products this week. Now, as they do research, we support them. We congratulate Peru in coming into manufacturing. We'll try to support you in your work and in your manufacturing. We congratulate Kenya in the completion. Ghana has been the first, and now we received information that Philippine manufacturing has gone into operation as of this week for commercial production. We expect production from Austrian health units and the company in the coming time. We will announce a new research centers in next week or 2 weeks across the world, which is increasing rapidly. We need to respond. The manufacturers, they become research centers as they open up. And now we see the collaboration and internal structure in Arizona. John, are you there in the background?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening to you, John.
I am.
Not too bad. Are you ready with, please share the knowledge you have gained that the rest can build on it, please.
Okay, let me try to share screen here, Rick. Am I okay to share screen?
I believe so. Go ahead.
Can you give us a background first, please, John, before you...
Yeah, I have a presentation, and before I start the presentation, I'll talk a little bit, okay?
We leave it to you, and when you finish, I'll take over. Go ahead, please.
Hang on, let me just open this up. Okay. All right, we'll do it like this. Okay, so
what we'd like to do, if you can close your side window, please, because we see your papers.
Just hit F5 and I'll go full screen.
just
Yeah.
F5.
Go to full screen, please.
Well, that's what I attempted to do here.
And then you'll have to share the screen once F5 opens up.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay, is that good? Okay, so my name is John Bliven. I'm the managing director of Keshe Manufacturing in Arizona. Our team consists right now of a small group of people. We have people you'll see in the videos today. We have David Contreras, who has his master's degree in bioagriculture. We have Miguel Bueno, who has his master's degree in physics with a strong background in nanotechnology. And we have Paul Hong and Julian Hong, who are two up-and-coming leaders from Taiwan, who will be our future. In addition to that, we have Armin, who we consider a strong ally and supporter of the work that we're doing. And we have Susie Strom and Marianne Pike, who's helping us with our newsletter. For those in the United States, I hope you got a copy of our newsletter and that you're understanding that you're part of this bigger family that we're trying to build together. Before I get started with our presentation about building a spaceship, in regards to the newsletter, perhaps some of the other countries can pick up our newsletter and translate it into their language and do the same thing that we're doing here in the United States, which is building a network within your communities, whether it's China, France, Germany, wherever, where you can actually communicate with the members that are supporting the foundation on a monthly basis with news and information about what's going on around the foundation. And that'll be a monthly thing that comes out from the Keshe USA site.
Can I come in, please?
Yes.
We have already asked for this newsletter to be going on the front pages of the Keshe Foundation worldwide on all the websites. We support this. It's a fantastic move on the back of Wikipedia, Keshe Wiki, which has been set up, and now with the newspaper. Thank you very much for this. When I saw it the first time, it's something which we needed, and it is a beautiful move from your part. If any of you develop anything and you want to share the news, just ask and send it to the newsletter, Plasma News, which is coming from Arizona. We support you. You can put your advertising for the materials you use, and they will give you full support. You manufacture something new you want to advertise on the Plasma, this newsletter will support you to advertise. Maybe they put something on it that they can give you more freedom to share knowledge and the news. And most of the work of the Keshe Foundation in Ghana will be shared as a news with this paper. So we try to put this paper now as a main center news for the Keshe Foundation that people worldwide can read.
Do you want me to show that? Do you want me to show that right now? I have that available as a PDF that we could just go through briefly. Or
would you like to do that, John?
If you want to just flip through it real quick so people can get understanding of what's coming up. You know, I really like to see, you know, people grasp onto it and translate it into their languages.
One of the problems, Sean, is that it's hard to share a PDF file in like Facebook, for example. There's no way to share it as easily as a picture or a video. So maybe there's some way to make it into a different format that it's easier to share.
Right now, that's the way we're doing it. We're kind of going through a learning phase ourselves.
Maybe we can do both. I think the PDF is very nice as is, and it's handy for people to share, you know, from person to person that way.
It is a beautiful idea. So this is the Plasma time.
Stanley just up there now.
Yeah, it is very nice, and if you have, does not need to be in English. In any language you want to put the news on, it will be added to all the teachings you do, all the classes you set up, or you want to advertise will be there. Anything you want to promote will be there, and it'll be fantastic to see how we'll operate. It's very interesting, this picture. If you stop 1 second, you will see totally, and this is a mass production of GaNs material in Arizona. In Keshe Foundation Ghana manufacturing, we have totally changed the production. You will see it when we release the pictures this week. We have gone into a very large base manufacturing with a mass production. We expect to produce up to 10,000 liters of plasma per day in the next few weeks. So we have changed it. It's for those of you setting up manufacturing. We now see this news, this picture, that it can escalate it in the industrial level, and we've gone into the industrial level production in Ghana. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
So someone has made a good suggestion in the live stream that to create an email address for subscribing to the Plasma News so that people could get the regular installments of it delivered to them.
We have that right now. We're focusing on the United States, and what we want to do is be able to send it out to one person in these various countries for them to pick it up to distribute through their countries.
Of course, they could translate it as well at that time, yeah.
Because we're just not able to handle, international, emails throughout the world.
Maybe we need to set up a group in the background to handle it with you. You started it off. Maybe we need a collaboration international with people who are good in news and press to share.
That would be ideal.
Okay, let's go. I can see, is that Caroline in the background standing in the...
No, that's Carrie.
Carrie. Okay, no problem. Carry on with your plasma technology. Thank you very much for this new innovation and point of sharing knowledge.
Okay.
Carry on with what the main part of your teaching is.
Okay, can you bring me back to share screen, or do I have to share my screen again?
I think you're okay there.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's our team. So let me just see if I can. Why can't I scroll through this? There we go. Okay. So let me start with some of my thoughts before we get started. I'm going to share with you some videos of work that we've done and things that are happening. But let me first start with some of my thoughts. Many people have created plasma fields. The MagGravs we made created plasma fields. The GaNs we created was plasma fields. The paint pens were plasma fields, and so is our Aura. These are all plasma fields that we've created. So what we're starting to understand is that what we're really looking to do is to amplify and contain these fields. You've heard Mr. Keshe talk about field plasma. This is really the golden nugget of where we want to reach. So the MagGravs that we created what I call smaller fields of plasma. And as we learn how to amplify these fields, then a new universe and a new world opens up for all of us. In the first edition of our newsletter, I shared the concept, and you saw that one picture of what I call an OASIS system that generated plasma fields with reactors. This is the type of thing we're trying to amplify the fields, and we're trying to contain the fields. And we're going to do it with various sources. So what I hope is that by sharing and inspiring others, we can lead to big breakthroughs. Much has been shared, and sometimes watching some of the old sessions and reviewing some of the things that Mr. Keshe has brought forward earlier leads to new understandings. And I hope that maybe some of this sharing that goes on will break some of that ground also. What we're bringing forward is our future. We're unlocking the doors to a future beyond our current understanding, and we are starting to understand that we have had the keys all along. Our intuition, our collective intuition, is close to major breakthroughs. It is my hope that by sharing some of our understanding, many of the keys to many of the doors will be discovered. Why do we share? It's not always about being right or wrong. It's about furthering our understandings. When we build and we test, no matter the outcome, we move in the direction of that which we desire. Our tests and our sources and our successes and our failures can help inspire others in doing things a little bit different and maybe better. We don't always have the right answers, but sometimes talking about them gets us to the best answers. My sharing may add to your understanding, and is my hope that along the way, I can teach from our experiences. We are creating a new paradigm to unlock new technologies. These technologies have sat back and said, for those that have sat back and said, where's the free energy devices, have not understood we are the ones that are bringing about that which we wish to see. All that we desire is within our reach. When we stand in our strength and claim it, we own it. You've heard the saying, I am that I am. And that's an important saying because we claim that strength as we identify it. We're operating in unified fields, and that's unified field is growing in intensity. The peace and ethos of the foundation is the strength, and we build the intensity with our collective words, our collective thoughts, and our collective actions. There's more than one way to open up these plasma fields. We have the reactors. Hang on one second. We have the reactors, and one of the things that we have found out in Kesh, Arizona, is that the experiences with ping pong balls and the cheap acrylic balls have proven unreliable. The reactors are going to be an integral part of everything that we're bringing forward. And one of the things that we found is that when running in the higher speeds, we're more likely to get the results we want if we go with a better quality reactor. If we go back to look at, Armin's machined reactors that he had from the very start, it was identified to us years ago. I feel that that's a much better way to get to the results that we want. Because what we have to do is we have to spin those reactors at a higher speeds, and we have to have elements within them that can be able to, I'll call it, open up into bigger field. If you remember when we reached 129 Tesla, the reactors that they had all spun true. They spun quickly, and they were able to be moved easily and accurately. So I'm going to recommend that we start to move in the direction of quality reactors and look at some of the things that have been already shown in the past. The MagGrav units and other coiling arrangements are another way to open up the plasma field, and this is what we're going to show in some of the videos, and you're going to see some things that we're able to do with the coils. GANs and combination of the reactors and the coiling arrangement. Our friends in the Philippines, as well as others, are understanding that the pH, or power of hydrogen, plays a key role in the interaction of materials. We now understand that the CH3 we made is like the GANs of tritium, and when added with atomic hydrogen and potassium hydroxide, we can open up those plasma fields. We're also going to learn in the future, and in the not too distant future, that our bodies are also ways to open up these plasma fields. As we elevate our soul through our words, our actions, and our thoughts, we're able to rise with a Kundalini energy, and we radiate out much like the plasma fields. Okay, so I'm going to start with some testing that we did back in early October. And this is where we took 18 magraphs, we connected them all together. I'm going to have a series of short YouTube videos that we created. And we're going to look at these 18 magraphs that are hooked together and plugged into an electric socket and powered with we put the power of a fan that you see there in the picture running it. So let's just run it and see what we see. Well, oops, what happened? Why can't I start this? Hang on one second. Let me just do this. Here we go. Hello, we're back here in Arizona. We want to show 18 unit configuration. We got 12 magraphs on the outside ring and 6 magraphs on the inside ring. So the flow of magraph goes from the power into the center gravitational field, out of the gravitational, and into the magnetical, then into power, which will be run by a fan here. We're going to go ahead and turn the fan on to high. So we're now generating the fields. Fields will have to kind of balance themselves out. Notice the speed of the fan is now being influenced by my field. Adjusting. I can feel it here. I can feel all of a sudden, I feel a lot of energy. Right here, just feel a lot of energy. Into the center of the field. It's very strong. Press it out. Press it. Oh. So the speed of the fan is actually shifting as I'm moving around the fields. Speed of the fan ever so slightly because I'm going to step out of the field. Okay, thank you. Okay, David's testing out the fields. Walking through the fields. He says the center is the strongest, like a big bubble in the center. The meter's going off. It's building up on the outside ring, trying to connect to the magraphs. Center is much stronger, higher. We just turned it on, so it seems like it's kind of building, like the fields are building up a bubble there. Like waves are going through as they build. There's Julian and Paul inside the fields, getting beamed up to space. Where do you feel, Julian? What do you feel? Paul, what do you feel? I don't know. Okay. Be careful, you're absorbing all of Julian's bad energy. Okay, that's the first one.
Can you go back and play the last minute of this, please? Because something important there.
Let me try. If I can do this back. Hello, we're back here.
No, go forward, go forward. Yeah. Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
Waves are going through.
Listen to the noise when it's spoken inside the dome and when John speaks on the microphone. Listen to all the direct communications. It's important.
There's Julian and Paul inside the fields, getting beamed up to space. Where do you feel, Julian? What do you feel? Paul, what do you feel? I don't know. Okay. Okay. There you have that.
Yeah, if you listen, the noise, the communication, especially where the field were getting tested close by, you hear breakages in the noise, in the voice. And this was the first indication there is an active plasma. This is part of the shielding, which you will understand later on. This can be used for what we call the shielding of the noises and other things. You hear when John speaks, it's very clear, but when we listen to the testing while it's getting done, we get breakages in the message, in the voice. We see this a lot in a very strong field. This is part of the defense, but at the moment this field, this test had opened a new door into the research, but there were reasons for not being able to see very clear fields. This was because of all the structure around it, the walls, the table, the chair. It was a first test. So what John can explain, they moved it as we saw it into a bigger, what you call a structure space, that the fields can be much more free, not to be in touch directly with the wall. And this is what we see from now on. The test will be done in the new section. Carry on, please.
Exactly. So one of the things that we have in our facility, in our possession, is a device called a violet ray. And what the violet ray does is it generates plasma fields that are typically used for health purposes, usually like cosmetic things on the face, and it has healing properties. So it generates plasma rays. We've done some modifications to it, and I'll take you through what the plasma ray is, and you can see it. I'm not sure why this is buffering like this. Should be ready to go. Hello? Not sure what's going on. Hold on. Let me try it like this. Let me skip over this one. I'll come back. Okay, so another thing that we did was early on we built a Faraday cage. I don't know if many of you remember a lot of the teachings. We talked about a Faraday cage where we used our magravs, we put them on their sides. In this Faraday cage, think of it like a teleportation device. We're going to hopefully master this. Again, it has to do with amplifying the energies to get to that point. But let's go soon look at what we did.
I think you have to go back to the first page and come down.
Hang on,
Yeah.
right. Let's try.
Stop the sharing. Go back to the beginning, first page. Stop it altogether. You got to stop this and then go back to your first page. Yeah. Click on it. Click on the page. Yeah. And then carry on.
Just click on the YouTube symbol in the bottom right and bring it into YouTube page.
Let's try it, see what happens.
And you'll have to share that screen that comes up then.
Okay, here's the Violet Range. Yes.
You'll have to share the new YouTube's video.
It's okay. Press it now. Press the play. Let's see what happens.
Can you see?
No, we see Violet Ray with just a still picture. Guy.
John.
Around the whole.
Hey, John, you have to pause.
Can you see?
We hear the voice, but we don't see the tube.
You'll have
You
to
have to reshare, John.
you have to reshare.
Okay, I'm resharing.
Go
When you
back
click-
and come in.
When
Go
you
back.
click on the YouTube button, it brings the new window up, and you'll have to share that new window.
Okay, so hang on a second. So here, let me try. First, let me try here. Again, error occurred. Okay, so let me try. Now,
And then you have to reshare the new window.
you see the resume sharing?
No, just new share.
What we did, this
Stop the YouTube, please.
Minecraft was filled with CO2,
Yeah.
and we put a nano-coated wire around the ball, and the center pin goes.
You got to stop it.
Hang on. Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble.
Just do a new share to the browser window that shows the YouTube.
John, I have that video. Maybe you want me to share.
No, stay to the same structure. Just let's do it properly. He's done all the work.
New share.
Now pick the
That's right.
browser. Pick the browser window that has that YouTube in it, and you'll have to share computer audio with that. You'll have to when you do new share.
When we cache
Can you hear that? Can you see it and hear
It's probably coming to your microphone rather than the.
just a little low frequency.
it? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hear and see? Yes, no?
yeah.
Yeah.
We see the whole page of yours. We see everything on your page.
Okay, so let me go open it up. Hold on.
What we did,
Yes,
this all that we put in the Minecraft was filled with CO2, and we put a nano-coated wire around
Yeah.
the ball, and the center pin
So
goes
let's stop.
side of the ball.
John, do you have these as the original videos on your computer?
Frequency
Yes.
will generate.
Why don't you play that in a window and then you'll eliminate all this problem, I think.
So right now you can't see and hear it.
It seems to come through now. Yeah, I think so.
Hang on one second. Let me just see if I can. If we got it, well, let's do it.
Okay, try it. That's good.
Can you hear and see?
Minecraft, what we did,
Yes, it's okay.
Good, yes. Thank you.
we put in the
Go to the beginning, please.
was
Go to the
filled
beginning.
with CO2.
Okay. Let me come back.
We're doing the testing with a high frequency machine, similar to the neon activators that we will be putting in the Minecraft. what we did, this little ball that we put in the Minecraft was filled with CO2. And we put a nano-coated wire around the ball, and the center pin goes inside of the ball. When we touch this ball, and with just a little low frequency from the generator, the field that produces is around 12 feet around myself when I touch it. And right now, I want to activate the little ball. And now, you see the field over there going so far? You can see the field going so far. Keep going farther. Keep going farther. Farther. Check higher. How much is the zone? Too high. It's too high. It's out of the range of the stop. Just hold it in my body. That's good. Walk around. Walk around. Walk around. Walk around. Go that way. Okay, go that way. Go back me, behind me. We got the what? Almost a 12.
Wow, that's a big field.
If I project it like that, it's going to be probably higher. Check my hand. Keep going.
Keep going. Towards the door. Towards the door. Keep going towards the door. To the door.
Right there. That's what it is.
Keep going farther back.
Before. Come in. Right there. A little bit more back. Okay, put a marker. Put a piece of tape. Yeah, put it into the indication measure. All right, we're doing the testing.
So that was the violet ray. Now I'm going to stop share. Is that correct? And I'm going to go back to my presentation. How am I doing? And
when you share when you click the YouTube now and you go into another window.
yes.
Okay, so click the YouTube button at the bottom.
Okay.
I think what you got to do, John, quit altogether and then come back in and share again. Stop sharing the whole thing, so they have a link problem.
Okay.
Go on the top, stop sharing the whole screen, and then start afresh and go from the top of the page. Okay, share again, please.
Forgive me for this. I thought I had everything now.
Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. No. Go out sharing the screen altogether and share a screen fresh. Quit everything. I've had this before. It's the way.
Sure.
Now press share a screen. The red in the middle of your page says share a screen, and start a new PDF page altogether from your side.
Okay, so let me
Now
go.
press share a screen in the center.
This one here.
Yeah, you got the man, the two boxes. No, somehow it's going on. Your system has linked up the wrong way. Go out and come in all together. You have a problem, linkage problem, because you'll have a problem like this with all your videos now. Just go out totally.
He means close out PowerPoint and reload.
Yeah, close the PowerPoint.
Okay, hang on.
There is something, because when you went to the first page, you could call the first one back. So the other one is playing in the background.
Yep.
Close it and you start
I'm trying to do.
PowerPoint here. While John is doing this, let me give you a background. Armin and John work very closely on this development, and Innovation Center in Arizona works extensively on development of the field in every aspect. We meet on some sort of regular basis between Armand, me, and John, and they do the test. They send the videos. We look and we'll see what's the next step possibilities. This development, which is John will show from now on, it'll become the cornerstone of the space structure, spaceship, physical matter. You will understand the more and more videos you will see, and you will see how the plasma, which was shown with the last video, it will be transferred into the 18-core system, but with a different change, with different addition. They've done a lot of work, and by the end of the teaching, when John finishes, we open a new window into the world of the space technology. Containment of plasma, physical matter, without actually having any matter. And this video we just seen is fundamentally important for everything. We just, if you understood what was shown. Carry on, please.
So let's see. I think it should work again.
Yeah.
Here we go. You know, I tried it at home here and everything was working fine.
There's no problem. It happens. It's just your linkage. Okay. Let's see.
Hold on. Let me go to YouTube and do it from that way.
Go to YouTube. Yeah.
Here in Arizona.
Okay, you have to reshare the new YouTube window, and then at the bottom, when you share the screen, there's 2 check marks for computer audio and full screen optimization. So you check mark both those before you share the screen.
Okay, here we go. Ready? We're going to run another test. This particular configuration, we put the 4 units in the center in a Faraday cage environment. All 4 of those are connected together with nano-coated wires. All of them have transformers underneath them. And we have a center mag grab unit that's connected to the electric supply. Those are microwave transformers. High voltage plasma generator. This time, however, we put our pain pen configuration nano-coated into the front end of it, and we're going to test the fields with it. So starting out, David, go ahead and test the fields that we're getting. This is from a single.
We are testing the fields with no connection to the high frequency generator of the modular arrays that we have here. And just right there, the fields run the Lummo battery.
That one wasn't working too good. I think you gotta push that in a little bit. Push it in a little bit. Push it in towards the magnet a little bit. That's good. That's good. That's good. So one transformer's hooked up on the other side. One transformer's hooked up, and the other 4 are just sitting on top of it. Straighten it out. There you go, just like that. Okay, so now go ahead, Paul, if you turn on the high voltage. Okay. Ground. Now test your field, David. Okay, so go down here, Paul. Go into those wires. Yeah. Okay, go into the transformer. Yeah. So we're going to neutral of the transformer. Going to neutralize. Now the field has moved outside of the 6 background units or in the nothing. Over the top. Go outside the man grab. Come through the man grab unit. Man grab unit itself. Push the man grab unit in a little bit. Wow, quite a bit above. Going way above. Going 4.5, almost 5 feet above. How far into the center, David? See what happens in the center. And I think you're about 6 foot above. I think your field is influencing the field. So, oh wow. You step out and get lost. You're about 5.5 feet above the unit. All right, that's good. Okay, so that's that one. Let's see here. I'm dancing around here, excuse me. So the next thing we did, we had these small high voltage transformers, and we started doing some testing with these high voltage transformers.
Let me, while you're trying to get till it comes up, let me explain something important.
This one's going to run, okay?
What you have to do to go to your YouTube channel.
No, this one's going to run. Go ahead.
What you see here is important. This is a raw test, laboratory test. This is how we always shared our knowledge. Failure, success, learning new step by step. This is not the montage to be a perfect, you see what you want to see. These are videos of a raw research development. And it's important for you who watch or understand, to understand how technology is developed by error, by developing, by checking. And this is the beauty and the strength of the technology. We share in every aspect. Something we've seen in here, we can share maybe from our knowledge, we can add to it and come up with something new. We are not here showing a video that is just showing everything you want to see. This is pure, raw knowledge transfer. It's as you are with us in the lab, you're in the testing center. You feel the failures and the successes and all the observation. And this is how it should be. We share as one knowledge, one nation. So we all have to share and see the success, the trauma, the joy of different achievements and different testing. So as you are explained, this is what we've done. If you have watched the last 2 videos, where massive information for a space development was released. Massive information. And information that if any of you can jump on it, can deliver a full space lift. But in the trials was not observed. In what it was developed, is not understood to be applied and be used. We'll go further and you see. This knowledge, especially we asked John to share with us, is for you to understand how technology is developed. You don't read the last report, this is what achieved. Achievement comes with these kind of tests. And we have to go through it, all of us, that we feel it, we understand it, and then through it we add to it. Thank you very much, John. It's beautiful what you're showing.
Okay, so this test here is some small high voltage transformers. They operate on 3 to 6 volt DC power. I want to share what they do because we use some testing with them to see if we couldn't amplify the fields. You're out of the direction of that. Show how they spark. Show how they spark. Show how they spark.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Now, what I wanted to synchronize was the field, which direction the fields are going. Right. See, it has different range of field. It's not.
Okay, that's that test. The next video. Here we've put together a little farther along the development side, and we're experimenting with the fields again. Let's see if this one will run.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Can you reshare this screen and you make sure you put a check mark at the bottom for share computer audio?
So what do you want me to do again, Flint? I'm sorry.
When you hit new share.
Go out of stop share? What are you saying?
Yeah. When you stop share, reshare, and make sure you have computer audio checked at the bottom of that share window before you select the.
Join computer audio connected. That's what you want?
It says share computer audio. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll check mark there.
Okay, and now I'm going back to share screen.
And then check mark at that share screen window that came up. Check mark.
Just join audio?
Yeah, it says share computer audio at the bottom. Little check mark.
I think I got it, did I?
At the bottom of the share screen window. Okay, now you can make it full screen and share your.
Okay, so this one here. Okay, so hold on, this one doesn't look like it's gonna run. Let me go over to YouTube.
Okay, now when you share the YouTube video, make sure that that's
at
the bottom, share computer audio. You have to new share.
So where am I seeing this share computer audio?
When you hit the new share screen or button, that pops up a little window. Then you pick the icon, you pick the window that you want to share, and at the bottom of that window is the share computer audio.
Share computer sound. Okay, got it. Thank you. Where did I lose the? Forgive me for this. I hadn't planned on having problems with this, but we go to YouTube. We're here in Arizona, and David is. Okay. Full screen. Where can I share the screen now? What happened?
Yeah, you're gonna have to share the YouTube window now. It came up in your browser.
Can you see it?
No.
Can you see that?
No.
You need to start like you started from scratch.
Just do share screen button at the bottom. Pick your YouTube browser window. And make sure the share computer audio is checked.
Okay, so now I apologize for this. I didn't expect to have this kind of issue.
No problem, just easy, John.
John,
Yes.
go out altogether. Go out totally altogether. Go out altogether
Okay.
and come back in from fresh. Just close everything down, go out and come back in. Close everything. We take over. I'll speak till you get ready and come back in, okay?
Okay, so I'm going completely out of Zoom.
Yeah, completely out, go out and come as you started from the beginning.
All right, thank you.
Okay, this way is easier. Okay, can I take over the sharing of the screen, please?
Okay, I think you should be able to do that.
You will to do it. Okay, I'll take over here. That is easier for me to do. Till John is ready to come in. What you got to realize, what is achieved and what is getting done here, which is important, is the way John is testing how the MAGRAPH systems work and how the MAGRAPH system create fields. This is part of what is achieved, is that he started with one unit, and you've seen one of the one units have a very small radius detection, field spread, at the strength of what the machine, the little gadget they use, shows. But in fact, this field in the plasma goes much further. You will see this further on. When they put 16 or 18 or initially was 15, then it increased to 18, 6 and 12. Then we see the field expansion.
Mr. Kesh,
yes.
I'm not seeing the screen share. Can you try again, please?
You are not seeing the screen share.
It's working for.
We see it well.
Yeah, I think it's on your end. Maybe you have to refresh or something.
Okay.
You don't see the white.
Can you just try again, please?
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and come back in again. Do you see it now?
Now it's bigger, a lot bigger actually. We don't see the picture now is off the screen a little bit.
Here we go. It's back to normal.
Okay.
That's back. I think maybe we had an issue with as John was sharing and resharing. So
okay. You're right. Okay. So what we see now with 18 or 12, we have merged the fields together. And what you will see in a position, we saw a single unit on its own having a limited range. Now with what we call a star formation control system, which is the 18 reactors, we increase and we make a unified field for the whole lot. They do not operate individually anymore. They link up. And this is important. This is how we build up the shape. And in the following videos, which you'll see from John, we'll see how this shape can be controlled. How he manages to create gates into walk-in, and when he opens the gate, what happens to the field. This is a very deep and important information which we are sharing today. Most of you don't have access to 18 systems in Arizona, because being a factory, they have those blue tags you see is just tapes holding the cases together because they can change the combination. So what we see is fundamentally starting with one unit, a ball with a CO2 gas was shown. Those of you who are in defense technology, those of you who sit on the edges with military defense, deep space defense, have to understand the application and the implication of that ball. You see the same machine is used, but the field in the center does not change much. System control, defense technology has been centered in that system. Those of you who are developing to see the space structure plasma technology should have understood what that message was. You've seen the machine being used and the distance is not there. Once the GANS plasma with nanomaterial connected to the same, the span of fields increases beyond. Those of military background, space technology background sitting here should have understood a very strong information. This is how the American drone was captured. This is how the Russian boats were brought in, but in a much more complicated way. This is what you need in a space to understand, to create shielding. It's not done for military purposes, but shielding, defense is part of, otherwise you will not exist in deep space.
Can I come back in now?
Yes, but let me just finish one thing, please.
Okay.
So you will understand and you will see continuously John uses both the background systems and the plasma ball or plasma unit. And just look when it comes in, you will understand a lot more how the operation should be. Go ahead, please. I stopped sharing that you can take over.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm pulling up here. Oh, what happened? Are you there? Did I lose you?
No, we hear you.
Oh, you still hear me? Okay, good.
Everything is okay. You're sharing the whole desktop, but that means you will not have a problems when you are switching the windows. We will see everything. Everything what you see on your desktop, we see now.
Okay, do you see me right now? You see this video?
Yes, experimenting with the fields.
Okay.
And the David is standing. Yeah.
Just had this all figured out.
Maybe that now it will be working because you are in presentation mode.
No.
Let me try to fight through this if I can, please. We're here in Arizona, and David is checking the fields. Okay, so
Yeah,
here. Okay, hang on.
we see that.
We see that. You can just play.
Just continue. Just continue.
Just continue. Okay, here we go. Can you hear? Can you see that now?
Yes, we can see everything, John, because you are sharing the desktop with the sound. So whatever you do on your computer, it's okay.
Between the inner circle of the magravs, we're all connected. Go all the way around, David. Go all the way around and into the center. Everything's connected. Go ahead into the field, David. Step into the field. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me about feelings. All of a sudden, you lost the signal when you stepped in, huh? You broke the signal. Just tell me what you're feeling now, David. You feel anything strange? Feelings. Walk around the circle very carefully. And then step into the center. feel, David? Tell me about the feeling to you. Energetically, what's your heart's doing? What's your hands? What's the palm of your hands doing?
Shaking,
A little bit of shaking.
the eyes is like a flickering.
Your eyes are blinking. Okay. So now I want you to make a wish. Make a wish from that state right now. Just make a wish. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. How did you feel when you're in the center there? Tell me again.
It's like my pulses are pulsing a lot, and the eyes behind my pupils, it's like a flickering.
Okay.
I can feel my
your aura.
oh, it's like my blood. I can feel the whole torrent of blood going.
Okay.
I can feel the flow, you know.
Good. Good. Okay. Now check the field right there at the field strength. Since you stepped in the center, the field strength, you lost the field strength. Okay, go ahead and step out. So once David got out of the fields rebuilt themselves very quickly. Now all of the fields are connected again. Not quite as strong, but they're still connected. You just lost your fields. You just lost the fields. You got a little bit of field on the inside. Check the outside, see if you still got fields on the outside. We crossed the plane. You lost your fields. Now step out and see if you regain the fields again. Yeah, you regain the fields as soon as you step out. Step in, you lost them. Step out, and you gain them again. So one of the things too we found is that when you hold these little reactors in your hand, your body influences them also. So that so what we started doing is connecting them to a stick, so we got a more accurate reading. When we held them with our hand, and the field went out about 6 inches farther than when we held it with a stick. So let me try to get out of YouTube here. Let me go to stop share first to get out of YouTube and go back to my interesting. Okay. Okay, so that's that one. Let me scroll down to the next one. Okay, this one is interesting. Again, it's about feeling the feels. Listen to what is brought up by another supporter of ours.
You stopped the share, so you have to reshare the screen so we can see it.
Okay, so you can't see now? Okay, so. Are you seeing it now?
We see your PowerPoint.
Okay. When I did that, when I went out and came back, it didn't like it. Okay, here we go. To amplify the fields even more, and David's going around, and the fields have gone up dramatically. Standing here, and I'm about 2 feet away, the hair on my head is not standing up, but you can feel the follicles on the hair actually stand. Do you feel anything, Julian? No? Do you feel anything, David? A shifting?
Yeah, just everything just shifted energetically.
Yeah.
Kind of like hard to explain.
Did it feel like on the palm of your hand? I can feel it pretty strong. It's like the palm of my hands are kind of almost getting sweaty energetically. David, do you feel anything? Tingling in your hands. Do you feel anything on the top of your head, Julian? Like the hair on your head? Yeah. Okay. So we were high, and we're about, what would you guess in terms of number of feet, David? We're about 20 feet out from the center. And you're also very high too, aren't you? As higher as you can go.
Yeah, about
Okay.
10 feet tall.
Yeah, when I've caught reality or time shifting, there's a certain kind of things that occur. What I just thought over there briefly was similar to when I've seen things get altered in reality.
Yeah.
Like a wave kind of thing. It's hard to explain, but part of it is the balance. It's like, it's really hard to explain it because there's a lot of different pieces to it there.
Okay, so at that point in time, we had two, you see these little black transformers underneath the magravs? The last test was done with two neon light transformers. Those are high voltage transformers that are plugged into the wall. Now, at this stage, we have 6 of the transformers, and we're going to see what it does with neon lights, with a neon light. Okay, so here David is, now that we got these all connected together, you can see David's simply holding a neon light, and it's lighting up when it's touching the wires, or not even touching the wires, but it's just coming close to the wires. Okay, so that's a neon light test. Now we have the 6 high voltage transformers, and what we did is we put a door, the door, if you can you see my mouse right now? The door is actually wired right here by going from magnetical to gravitational and gravitational to magnetical. This was our first attempt at a door. And what we found out, well, let me play the video and you'll see what we found out when we tried to put our first attempt at a door. And these little things here are stands that we've now added into the equation to put rotating reactors on. And this centerpiece in the middle, this tripod, is going to be our call it our 4th reactor. So let me play it and see what you see. Okay, we're back here in Arizona again. We reconfigured our system so that we have 3 transformers on the outside and 3 on the inside. And these little boxes here are going to be our stands for our motor setup. We have 3 of those around, well, I only see 2 of them around the system. The other one's being mounted right now. So David, show us what the fields look like today. They're a little bit stronger than the other time. Before they were about 1.5 feet. Now it's more like 2 feet out. They're connected all the way around on all the units. Show me from the top, David, what happens with the fields. They come out about 2 feet, but they go up about 4 to 5 feet. And as they go to the center, it goes a little higher. Is that true, David? Yeah. Show me going in the center. So we're about 5 feet in the center area. So it kind of comes out about 2 feet, goes to 4 feet, and then goes up to 5 feet. And we're not going inside the fields right now. We just started them up, so we're trying to get them to build back up. This is like a half hour after we activate the system. So the fields are going to build. Okay, that's good. Okay, the next test, I want to share what we're doing. We're fortunate. We have 2 3D printers, and we did a lot of testing with printing 3D reactors, and then we mounted them on little helicopter motors. This test is unsuccessful. We've actually gone through quite a few tests that were unsuccessful, but I want to share this so you understand what these reactors kind of need to be able to accomplish. So let's go ahead and run this one. And this one doesn't look like it's gonna go. Okay, so hold on, let me stop and try to go into YouTube on this one. I apologize for this, but this is the way we got to do it. Arizona, and we're checking out our reactors. Let's see how.
You have to reshare your YouTube window.
I understand.
Yeah.
I gotta do it all in order here. Is this, did I pick the wrong one? No, I picked the wrong one. Okay, excuse me. Okay, here we go with the YouTube. Now they're spinning with the balls. Oh, go ahead and spin it. Go ahead and spin it. Or you just go ahead and spin it. Spin it. Spin it. Spin it.
Yeah, I'm trying, but it's not going. Maybe it got wet or something.
Really?
Yeah, it's not spinning whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay.
No, the scale is not good enough. It's filling all the history. I'm sorry. And then the scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it for that test. Let's go ahead and clean it up and.
Yeah, the scale is. Or it's a hole in some place.
I think it's coming out right in the middle. That's what it looked like. Or at least that's just coming underneath.
And if there's a point where the building is completely.
How about the feel underneath? Now, how about are we comfortable with the balance of the ball? Doesn't look like it's too balanced. So that was the test for what we were doing with the 3D printers. And then I'm gonna. Okay, this next test, what we did is we added what I call door number 2. Is my voice coming through okay? Can you see everything?
Yeah.
Yes, looks good.
I apologize. Just kind of bear with me and we'll get through this. I think this is one of our last videos. There's one more after this. So let us get through this. Let's see if this one's going to go. No, I'm going to have to go to YouTube.
I think maybe the best way to do it is, for next time, would be to play the original video rather than have to go through YouTube.
Connection between the gravitational fields and the magnetical fields. Hang on a second. Again, we still have the three. Start it again. Can you see okay?
Yeah, you can make that full screen now.
Yeah. Between the gravitational fields and the magnetical fields. Again, we still have the three high voltage transformers on the inside and three high voltage transformers on the outside. We're going to use the violet ray plasma generator. And right now, Paul, come here, the fields, come here. Right now, the fields are showing about a foot out from, well, they're connected between each other, but then they pull out and up about a foot each, right? Up, go like this, Paul. Yes. Okay, so we're about a foot all the way around, maybe a foot and a half. Okay, so now with the violet ray, we're going to amplify. Go ahead, we're going to start in the middle with the gravitational. Okay, Paul, now watch what the fields grow. Okay, so they grow quite a bit. Gravitational. With the gravitational, we're going, these little blue dots on the floor are at 12 feet out. So you can see with the gravitational field, we're about 12 feet out, and then we go, we kind of go as a donut. We go up, yeah, we go up over the top, and it's about 8, 9 feet high. So David, what he's doing is he's zapping a plasma field on gravitational. So now come on out to the magnetical, David, and see what happens when we do the magnetical. So now he's zapping the magnetical field, which is connected. And Paul, what happens to the fields now? We're still about 12 feet, maybe a little bit more. What happens? It goes down and then up about to the 12-foot mark. Now what happens in the middle? Keep going into the middle. Keep going into the middle. Come on in, find the field. So it goes way up. Oh, it goes way up. Big bubble. Now push it into the middle, over by the. Push it in the middle. Does it come back down? What happens in the very middle? Oh. So, no, right here. Paul, find it in the middle again. So what? Paul, you're getting swallowed up by the fields. You feel anything in the center, Paul? You don't feel anything. You're right in the middle of the bubble, Paul. You're living in the bubble, and the bubble goes way, way up as far as you can go. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to try it one more time. We're going to go to the gravitational and see the difference between the gravitational and the magnetical. Okay, so see how it goes. What do you see in Paul? It kind of goes like out and then up. This is the gravitational field now that we're talking about. We're measuring the bubble. Okay. And that's about as high as the gravitational goes. Or it goes all the way up. It goes as high as you can in the center. Very high, very high. Okay, high as you can go. Okay, so that was the gravitational field. David, pull it off to the magnetical field again and see what the difference with the magnetical field looks like. Okay, so now Paul's pulling it back. Go low and come up. Find it low and then come up. Okay, now it kind of bubbles out to 12 feet. Keep going. What happens is it going up, go up. What happens is you following the field. So the magnetical is not as high. It's not as high as the gravitational field. Except in the middle, it is as high. Okay. So it's got a different shape to it. The magnetical field has a different shape. Okay. So that's the essence of that particular video. What we're trying to do is compare the two, the magnetic and the gravitational field. So let me. Okay, so now what we did, can you see the screen okay? Am I back with you?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, good. So now what we did is we tested, this is a little bit further testing where we shut, what happened is when we had that other door number 2, we found that the fields were not as strong. So we shut the doors using capillary tubing. And the capillary tubing, we nano-coated the outside and left the inside open. And our thinking was that with this capillary tubing, we were going to have a part of our fields as a part of our connections as a supercapacitor. So let's see what this does. See if this will work if I have to go to YouTube. Okay, we're here in Arizona again. So we closed our door. Our door was right here. And what we did when we closed it, we put this capillary tube, which we nano-coated on the outside only. And the other wires, the typical wires would be our nano-coated wires across the mag graphs. When we closed the door, what we found is that, David, what do you find with the fields? These lines here are 12 feet out. So we're about 12 feet out with the fields. And we just turned it back on again. One of the things we added to it was this spinning ball in the center around our other GANs. The spin isn't quite so fast, but it's a very smooth spin, probably about 2,000 or I would say 1,200 RPM. Now show him the, get the light bulb if you would, David. Where's the light bulb? Go ahead and put the light bulb on it, Paul. So the light bulb, you can see lights up pretty easy. So we're back to where we got significant fields about 12 feet out. What's the shape of the fields right now, David? Can you figure out what the shape looks like? Uh-huh. Yeah, you can't go underneath the thing, but it comes out about 12 feet, and now what's it doing? Okay, and follow it up and in. Oh, it goes pretty high. Okay, so there's where it's starting to go in, probably about 10 feet high. Go into the center now and see what's happening in the center, David. Go into the center of the field. Be careful with that ladder. Open it. Close it all the way up. David, watch out with this ladder. Let's open it all the way up. I don't want it to fall. Now, you know when you go into the fields, you're actually interfering with the fields, but let's see what happens in terms of the height of the... So this is a 6-foot ladder. He's on 6. Oh, what happened? It just collapsed. Oh, there it goes. Is that thing working, David? What's happening? The field just collapsed? There it goes. There you go. David, is that thing working right?
Yeah.
It seems like the field's collapsing.
The field, you can hear the toroid is coming this way. So it's like the field's still going.
Okay, maybe it's because we got so much action within the field and we just started it up. Okay, so come on out of the field. Okay, so that was that one.
John,
Yes.
just ask you a question because it has to be clear. In the last test, you didn't have that plasma maker machine there with the ball on it.
Correct. And still we had 12-foot fields.
Yeah, so it shows that the system on its own is creating the fields.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on, please.
So the whole thing was once we closed the door, we got the fields back. So we're finding that we can amplify them out to 12 feet with these neon light transformers that we've added into the system. So we showed back on the other one. This is the last video that I'm going to show. So hopefully that dancing will stop. The last video we showed at 12 feet out. In reality, let's take a look at what happens when we do it with dowsing. David's dousing the fields. Show me a little dousing around here. Okay, and you're dousing to find out the size of the fields. This is a 12-foot mark right here with the lines here coming into the field. David's starting out about 20 feet back. And right here, David finds the fields with the dowsing rod at about, right there it goes, 18 feet. 18 feet out. Or maybe more like about 20 feet. So David's way back here. And you can see the 12-foot marks. One of the other things that we're doing here in testing out the fields is we put a radio at the 12-foot mark to see if we get interference with the radio. We just started it up today, keeping it on low. Okay, so that's kind of the end of the YouTube videos. I have a little bit more to the presentation if I can. So what is our understanding of what we've kind of learned from these testings? We've learned that when the real money is in amplifying the fields and opening up the plasma fields. And the tools that we use are GANs, transformers, crystals, coils, those types of things. We need to control the amount of energy to both the magnetic and gravitational side. The gravitational side, we now know, keeps the fields grounded, and the magnetic allows the fields to be attracted outward. We control the field plasma with the two of them operating in harmony. So now what we're seeing with these big fields is we're seeing field plasma. We'll need a door to enter. The door is created by using an infinity loop between the magnetic and gravitational in the inner and the outer circles. There's more than one way to open up the fields. Just when you think you know it all, there's a new way that's presented. So one of the things I keep everybody advised of is to keep an open mind, because there's always going to be something new to share. Our fields interact with the plasma fields, and we found that our presence in the fields caused them to find a new balancing. So it's like the fields are always looking for a balance. When we send love, we receive love. This can be done with our magravs, our GANs, our friends, and our intentions. So I have one more slide, and we'll. So in closing, you know, as we look around the world, there's a lot of areas where we see hopelessness and despair. We can change all that and bring about a future where everyone can thrive. And I strongly encourage all the members, the people that listen to this video, to understand that it's each one of us that are bringing about these changes. Every time we share kind words, good deeds, or simply be an example of peace, we bring the collective closer. I love the quote from Mother Teresa. We feel that we are just a drop in the ocean, but the ocean would be less because of that missing drop. So we all have a role to play. If just one person were to come forward and share the key to unlocking this plasma and share it openly, the future for humanity would change dramatically. I hope you all understand what it would mean for all of us if we were able to open up the doors, that understanding that we are not alone in this universe and that the truth can no longer be hidden. I encourage those in the various governments that are listening to this to come forward and join with us in the changes for the world and the betterment of all. Let us all share these technologies that were previously hidden. The time for hiding is gone, and the time for openness is here. To all the listeners who have been on the sidelines waiting for someone to hand you the keys, know that it is our time to shine and to find the role that resonates in your heart to bring this information to your communities in whatever way you feel comfortable, that the doors might swing wide open and never close again. Let me share one story before I close, and that was when I stepped into the fields of the plasma fields that you saw in the last video. I stood in the middle of the plasma field of the spaceship. I closed my eyes and I connected to the universal field. I sent out love and gratitude from the depths of my heart, and I asked the universal family to come and join me in this safe space. And what I received back was an overwhelming love energy, stronger than could be denied, and a strong sense that somebody was smiling back at me with love and gratitude. Help us kick open the doors to disclosure and more. And it's time for us to make that change that we all know we need so desperately. So that's my presentation. I'm open for questions. If anybody has questions, would like to ask me about any of the work that we've done or are doing, that's open for fair game. Let's keep it to the subject of spaceship type discussion if we can now. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you very much, John. Let's have a look here, and I'll note that there's 113 viewers in the Zoom. If there's somebody in particular that has a question for John, they can either put it in the chat or they can put their hand up, and I can promote you to a panelist so that you can speak.
John, this is Master Rashid.
Oh, hi, my friend.
John, this is Master Rashid speaking. I have a question for you.
Yes.
You used a detector, and I'm wondering how we can have a simple detector like that, because it's a very useful tool to have for many of us, I'm sure. And so if you could share for us some more information on that one, that would be great. Thanks.
These are very simple detectors that almost any electrical store has. The cost of that little detector that we were using is somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 to $8. Walmart sells them, so do all of the hardware stores. We like the ones that have both the light and the sound detection, and the one that we found just happened to be one that gave us a good signal. So those are readily available. What you're doing is you're detecting energy fields. They're used for checking whether you're getting power out of your electrical outlets as well.
Let me explain or add something to this. These testers are tuned to specific bandwidth of a strength. So they don't show the full spectrum. That's why when they use these little lights, you see that about 12 feet. But when they use the dicer, which is a different way of detection, it goes further on. So you got to realize these detectors, depends which one you buy, have been designed to detect certain amount of fields, and that's the boundary of the limitation of the system. That doesn't show the full spectrum, and when you see the dicer when it was used, is much further out. You see the reaction.
Yes,
so
that's correct.
This is something you have to understand. These are specifically tuned, adjusted for that. So if, for example, you can buy a variable of it, you see the field goes beyond 30, 40, 50 meters. So this is a good indication that where the field at the strength which that unit has been built, and most of them are specific now, more or less fall in the same category within a few difference. You might buy from one brand, it will be 2 meters, the other brand will be 2 meters 30, and that kind of thing.
One of the things that we found also that was interesting is we found that we could send the field outside the building through the window, but it didn't like going through the wall of the building.
What is that video? I've seen it. It was live.
It's one of the videos. I tried to pick out the ones that were more relevant.
Yeah. There is a video somewhere that we see a donut shape, a full donut shape of the field.
Yes.
And if you can dig it out, maybe Arman has in the background a copy of it. There is a video where you actually see the full shape of the spaceship, where the ladder has been put outside and they go on it and you see the shape.
Yes.
We don't see those videos here. If Arman, you have it in the background, you can dig it out, we can show it. As you saw in the last video, you see the shape of the spaceship, where he tries to put the detector is not straight out square, it has a curvature and it bends back up. Now, for those of you who are testing, need to solidify this field from actual field, understanding the interaction of the cores. The 18 MagRAP system, this is what we showed about over a year ago in Valletta, with the system which Marco showed. These are those little balls. Now the structure is fixed. This structure field is fixed. Now by changing parameters, or as you saw John put one single core in the middle, one single rotating core in the middle. By now changing that single core, moving it up or down, or changing the speed beyond 5,000 to 7,000 RPM, you should start seeing at this boundary which the 18 MagRAP system has set up, you should start seeing flickering of light at the structure. As we said, in a space, if any of the reactors fails, this 18 core system is embodiment of the piece of the collection of the fields. So now we have set out the boundaries. Now this is what we call the outer skin. We have found if you don't change any more parameters, fix the system as it is, now you have to put the star formation motors in, and that system in the middle should be somewhere where the magnetical gravitational field is. Then you start seeing the structure. The parameters is dictated by the 18. We cannot change it anymore. If you don't change the 18 pieces, fix them, tape them down, they have to be fixed to the floor, because you might not see it, but if the field strength comes and one of them moves 1 or 2 millimeters, you lose your field. Now you have to fix the platform and fix the MagRAP units to the platform, that they don't move anymore, because now you created the shape, you created the spaceship shape as we see it, especially in the last one. Arman can find the other videos which we've been monitoring and developing. Then you will see now when you put these fields in, you see the boundary. It starts very low in a curvature, it comes out, goes out to about 12 feet and it bends back in towards the center. So this is the shape of the spaceship, the fields of the spaceship created by the 18. We need to bring the two other layers in, which is the 3 reactor positions, the dynamic, and 1 center one. In doing so, as I repeat myself again, we should see the flickering and then solidification of the wall of the spaceship. The next step is the star formation. And if the reactors are fixed that they do not move, we will see lift. Go back to the teaching of the Cinzano, where we had the star formation on a platform hanging, and we saw its rotation coming up and going down. Now we have fixed the wall, we have to repeat the same process. The cores, dynamic cores, have to be fixed. The top reactor has to be fixed. The speeds below 5,000, you will not see reaction. There is a reason for it. RPM is equal to voltage difference by order of magnitude in the strength of the plasma. Low fields do not yield because it doesn't have enough strength to bring all the fields together. You saw something else which is important. Look at the way the laser gun was used. The way they use nano coils, nano wires around the coil, around the ball. That unifies all the fields of gravitational magnetical together. Go back on the picture of it, see the way the wire was wound on it. The wire the way it's entrapped the fields in the plasma. That brings the change. So when you connect this with your plasma reactors, with the 18 system, we should see structure of the UFO. The 18 create the 1 layer, the MAGRAF systems, the dynamic systems create the 2nd and the 3rd, and the body of the spaceship appear. In any shape or form, you put the reactors in, you will see the shape. It will flicker, you see half, you might not see half, you might see a little bit of it. It could be shiny on one part. It depends what's in the structure of that building, which they are testing, and how much field is transferred. As John said, it's funny where behind the wall, you don't see it, but at the glass you see the transfer, because he absorbs the energy. So, as I said, for the first time you've seen the field 18 to 20 feet out. Don't forget 12 feet is the radius, so 24 feet is the 24 foot is the total visible according to the detector they carry. So now we have established something like about 20 to 30 meter diameter spaceship. The position of the MAGRAF system should not change any further. It's got to be locked in. I asked them to be locked in, to be screwed down, that they don't move. Any vibration loses fields to be built up. And now it's time to concentrate on bringing the visibility. For the first time you've seen the physical, detectable boundary of the spaceship. Arizona and Chinese government testing centers are a very few centers which have access to large number of MAGRAF systems, and they can carry on with this too. But we have to follow this process as it comes, unless you manage to have access to a open space like they do, and you have access to 18 MAGRAF systems, and then you have access to what we call dynamic systems. So we put more emphasis into, first of all, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission and the Keshe Foundation work, because we have the facilities, and here we can produce large number of reactors. Most probably we'll see this collaboration with Arizona to show as the center for the first spaceship. remember that you saw the collapse of the fields every time they go in it, because the fields need to be strengthened. And the strengthening of the fields will come if you saw and understood from the plasma system which was shown with the ball on it. You have to bring all the knowledge together, not just individually you saw something and it's gone. Carry on, John, please.
Mr. Can I interject here? There's a question from Eva that's applicable here, perhaps. She says, I wonder about how to create a zone and maintain it of the matter state amino acid of a human being in the star formation spaceship. Is that a consideration, I guess, would be the question.
The thing is, at the moment, with what we call Keshe Foundation manufacturing in Italy, they've done some tests, and what we see is, and will become as a product, that the MagRab systems are sold as emotional units, which they affect your, what do you call it, your emotion. People who are using it feel much better and they feel happier. So the MagRab units, we know, affects emotion in a positive way. You can add your own amino acid to it, and then it's very easy. You know how to do it in the past teachings. You put a cup of it on top of the MagRab unit. You don't need to open and touch it. And in the coming days, because this is a suggestion from the Keshe Foundation, what you call Italy, the manufacturing, they have tested things. I'm seeing the effect of it. So it will be sold as emotion, adding positive fields to the emotion. And so we know this, we have seen it, and it does affect. We've seen it. What very strange, and we'll follow it through, is yes, you can use it, and in the teaching of past couple of days, in different private sections of the teaching, I've explained, we are monitoring very closely the behavior of the 20 master degree workers at the Keshe Foundation manufacturing in Ghana. The reason we are doing is we have seen them, how they come in. We have seen the state of their emotion when they join us. And now, as they start producing in mass GANs products for production, we are monitoring and observing the change of behavior, the change of interaction. What we have seen over years is people who get involved in production of nanomaterial and GANs, they change in behavior in a positive mode. The people who you see work around the Keshe Foundation, they change totally. It's not partially to understand of the knowledge, but partially in they receive, especially those who work with zinc oxide. We see elevation in their emotion. They change. The people who worked only with nanomaterial like copper oxide to make gas of CO2, we see a different behavior. I have observed this very quietly for a few years. And we see the ones who go into the next step to make zinc oxide. They change in a very drastic, dramatic way that they feel more confident. They see that there is no boundary in the change of the knowledge. Those who you see who work around the foundation, opposition, and all the rigmarole we've seen with it, they have never made a single nanomaterial in their life. I've been there, I've seen them. They have never even made it. So they stand in their animal behavior. It's very interesting. Sit and look back if you made nanomaterials at your own conduct, and when you were doing nanomaterials, or when you were producing other things. In that process, if you look, when you start producing GANs of zinc oxide, you see the behavior change. We see people who go to the next step making CH3, they have a different energy dimension. We are using this in production of new system, as I said, and new materials worldwide. And we see the changes. So the field inside the system does and will affect the people who go inside. You saw the collapse of the fields, but you see the collapse of the fields when different people go, doesn't collapse the same way as the others. Means they're absorbing different fields from the system. The collapse means I need more. It's not that it's gone. Body of a man is a dynamic plasma, so it receives and gives. When you take and the field collapses, it means you're in need of. This is how you feed in the space. There is a lot of hidden information in these videos. If you look at them just as something you're looking for a field, that's all you see. But if you look for the real interaction of the plasma as a scientific level, there is a lot of information in past videos we've seen in today. A huge amount of information. Behavior, plasma transformation, the structure building. You saw how the system collapsed into the donut. We have a video, if Arman can find it, or you can find it, John, now in the background. We see in the test a shape of a donut where the center is hollow. The system starts from outside the second quartz, the outside magnetical, and when it comes to the gravitational, there is no field. We see for the first time the donut shape. And I explained that before, it's in the videos. So what I said, Arizona moves to become the center of the space development. This was the wish of Arman. Now he's received it, but now he's got to develop it. He wanted to be the first man in the space. He's built his spaceship with collaboration with Arizona. He spends time there for development. This is where now Arizona and Ghana Keshe Foundation, we have the facilities that we start collaboration. Most probably next few weeks we do the flight test between the two centers. The center Arizona and Keshe Foundation Ghana, we have the facilities, we can develop it. So we start flight tests between two centers and carrying change of information. Here we have the scientists and we have what we call the space center. We can do the two together and develop. But you got to understand something which is very important. How the fields, when you walk around, they change. And you hear different voices, you hear different shape of transmission of the voice. You see the one who's sitting down and the guy who's standing up. You understand what is important with these guys is they manufacture these cores themselves. So they are connected to it. What will be the interaction of the people from outside? To start understanding how the fields interact, how the wishes interact, how what you wish becomes part of it because you bring the field with you. Something very interesting is important to come into for you to understand. It was the wish of the Keshe Foundation to start to ask the nations to join and become a peaceful nation. The first nation announcing disarmament, or in a way, stay a peaceful nation, has happened last week. And Rick, you have a page received sent to you from Ghana. Would you display it and you understand how your wish and the wish of the whole Keshe Foundation has come to reality? We told you we started a peace that governments will accept the peace treaty. Can you share the page with us, please, Rick?
Yes, just a second here.
This is a publication, public newspapers, and a commitment of a nation prior to election. Does not matter what is the outcome of the election, which was completed last night, and the new government has in. This is the announcement by the presidential candidate, Declare. Would you like to read it?
Okay, let me make it a bit bigger here if I can. And it says, we commit to peace, presidential candidates declare. It's an article from a newspaper by Kwan Aster Boadu. In a show of unity of purpose, the 7 presidential candidates contesting the December 7th general election yesterday signed a peace declaration at a ceremony in Accra that attracted the attention of the international community. A momentous occasion coming just 5 days to the general election, the declaration sent positive signals to the rest of the world that Ghana is keen on maintaining its enviable credentials as a beacon of peace and democracy on the African continent, even in the face of the fierce competition that has characterized the political contest. Known as the Accra Declaration, the agreement signed at the Mobic Ambassador Hotel was the brainchild of the National Peace Council, NPC, and the National House of Chiefs, the NHC, with support from international organizations including the United Nations, the African Union, and the Economic Community of West African States, and the Commonwealth Secretariat. With the exception of the presidential candidate of the Progressive People Party, Dr. Papa Kwasi Nudom, not getting the bottom of that, something about Convention People's Party, and the independent candidate, Mr. Jacob Osif Yavoy, all were present to append their signatures to the declaration. There's dignitaries in attendance were Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the President of Liberia and Chair of ECOWAS, a former South American President, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, the leader of the AU Observer Mission, Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambaz, the UN representative for West Africa and the Sahel, and Ms. Josephine Wijambo, the Deputy Commonwealth Secretary General. Also present were former President Jerry John Rawlings, who electrified the PACT conference, gathered outside the hotel, trying to fathom what was going on inside the hotel. The conveners, the NPC and the NHC, were strongly represented in the persons of the Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante and Togbe Efred the 14th, the chairman of the NPC and the president of the National House of Chiefs, respectively. Both gave powerfully inspiring speeches focusing on nothing but peace, with the Most Reverend Asante saying that this year's declaration should be the last for the country. The declaration: ahead of the forthcoming elections of December 7th, 2016, we shall forcefully and publicly speak out against all forms of electoral violence, whether perpetrated by members of our political party or other political parties. We will seek to collaborate with the police service and allied law enforcement agencies to professionally discharge their duties without fear or favor. We shall conduct our political campaigns in such a manner that the ability of the police or other security agencies to perform their, not sure if I'm able to get that on this, perform their duties, I believe it says, but the bottom's cut off.
Yeah, we post this on. Thank you very much, Eric. We post this on the Keshe Foundation website. You can read it. So we see we are in Ghana, and Ghana is the first country which commits itself to peace. We were in Rome when we received the peace agreement between Russia and the United States in respect to Syria. And now we see the same. We are in Ghana, and what was the wish? of the Keshe Foundation has come out into fourth. We commit to peace. And we'll see this to speculate to the other countries in Africa, which one by one will join. I am in Ghana, and we see the way the pattern is set. It is important that we push through technology, to delivery of technology. The Keshe Foundation will support the new government in every aspect to deliver the technology that creates peace within the nation and within the West Africa, and then Pan-Africans. You got to understand is, as I said, our wish is our command. And when you're in the spaceship, if your wish is peace, will bring peace to the where you are and amongst the people amongst you are. And this has to go into the next step. This, when you ask how can you, what will do? John has a peaceful behavior. John has a peaceful soul. And it had to be him. When we met in Rome, I explained to him that he has the total freedom. He doesn't have any shackles. It's him who decides, and now we see the achievement since he's come back from Rome to Arizona. And we'll see the development. It's what we have to do. There is no choice, but we can now influence the systems. And we can influence the conditions. And we will see, we take this as we are in the position we have to understand the interaction of the fields of GANs.
Mr. Keshe,
yes.
Can I ask a question from Anonymous in the Q&A here, which is applicable, I think, to everyone who's experimenting with their reactors and these fields and so on. They ask, what do you do when you are working at something and bad feelings appear and you are not in the strength to continue working? In a way, you disconnect from the work you are doing and you cannot feel it anymore. How do you go back to the point of trust? And is it okay to continue working like this? Or is it going to affect the system you are building?
When this happens, it happens to me many times. It means you are not ready for it. It means you wanted it, but it's not somebody put a bad feeling to it. It is your own soul which sees you are not ready for it. The disbelief in something which you are not ready to receive should not become bad feeling or other people's doing. When you don't achieve something, or you set your mind to go to do something even in the development and you don't reach it, it means you're not ready for it, or the society around you is not ready for it. Doesn't matter how you push it. Happens to me many times. I want to disclose knowledge, but it doesn't want to come. It somehow gets through. It somehow gets disappeared. We made the peace treaty. I commit and my nation or to commit to peace. Now you see on the screen. We tried for 2 years. The world wasn't ready. We come to Ghana. Ghana is the first nation commits itself to peace. What we set, we achieve, but within the boundary of what the rest are ready to accept. In the next few days, the peace treaty will be given to the new president to sign on behalf of the Ghana nation. Ghana will sign the first peace treaty because they have signed themselves. Now they sign the nation directly, publicly. They have done, will be done on the Keshe Foundation papers, as the rest of you have done. We have to understand that it's in the writing of Baha'u'llah, bless his name. He says, what you think is good for you is not necessarily good for you, because it could be a poison to you. When something does not go the way you want, never blame it on the others. That was an escape that we always chose, to blame others. You have to understand, it means it's you who clears and finds his position in respect to the others. It means you are not ready to receive it. Or what you give, they are not prepared to accept. Go back into the writing of the first book or the second book or the third book. I always said in my teachings, this universe has been created in the space of the other universes, or what we call unicos, to the size and the dimension which is allowed by them. Does not matter how much energy we have inside us. We have to understand we are within the structure of others. Now that you understand the operation of the soul, the operation of your own inner being you call soul, it means even though your emotion and physical are not aware of what they wish to do emotionally, your soul is aware of with the others. They are not prepared to receive it. It's not for them. Then they have to move in different direction. You call it that they have put a bad eye, but in fact it's you who have to understand that it's not time for it. There is no bad eye. Some prophet of the past refer to it and cultures believe in it, but change the table. Understand that it's you. Put the magnets on the table and see how the space comes. You move. If they don't want to move, you do not move them. And if you move your magnets, you find out the others have to position themselves. This is what we have to, now we understand more about the science. We have to understand that even our souls in its respect to its gravitational magnetic field and our body have to match in. When one is not ready for the other, this is what you call a bad eye. It's not a bad eye, it means others are not prepared, or they give you a field that you are not ready to understand. You have to take a new position, and you want to hold on to the old position, so there is no bad eye. So you change your position. It means it's not time for it. Maybe it's not time for it because if you discover something new, you cannot personally handle it, or you can misuse it. It's a protection for you, but you blame the others. Any other question?
Vikesh, good morning.
Morning.
This is Aza from New York. I have a question. When we say, as you stated, when the soul is not ready and you trying to do something and you have a bad feeling or is not necessarily the time, so does it mean when we wish for peace and the peace is not happening at the moment, means we're not ready for that moment? And there is the expression in Farsi, they say, as to harikat as man barakat. So if somebody is moving and doing all the right thing, but it's nothing coming up, it means the time is not ready, even if you make all the right move. Am I correct?
In so many ways, yes, but we have to understand this process. It's for us to understand the process. We are, something which is important, we come back in the other teachings. This time around, in the past, we have seen the prophet of the past declare that don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, respect yourself and the others. This time, when we bring the change, is for all the entities with this planet. It has to fit that everybody is comfortable, be it the fish, be it the dog, be it the bird, be it the man. Because now we understand the operation of the inner strength, what we call the soul. And we all have one common denominator because our soul was created out of the elements of this planet. So we have one amino acid right across. We have a common denominator, which is this planet. So whatever we do has to fit in the whole of the structure of the existence on this planet. As one nation, one race, one planet. From now on, thinking, okay, somebody put a bad eye on me. What about the fish? If you do this, it doesn't fit him. What about the bird? Or the guy in South America or the guy in China? It had to fit all of us from now on. And that's what I say, when you come to that point, it becomes important. It becomes important for us to be able, my wish was to be, to see and to do. And but does my wish fit into the others that all have to find a balance to? The game has changed. Individuality, one race, just a man thinking for human beings and ignoring the others has changed. Let me explain to you, going back in part of the teaching and understanding, is that the human race was not and is not out of one. The human race is an amalgamation of 2 or 3, maybe 5 races which have been born on this planet, and one has taken over the others in the structure due to the knowledge or the strength of the aggression in the past. But this has to change. This is why we become one nation. Now, as one nation, we are responsible for everything, the animals and the rest. And this is what we have to learn. Then you will see that what is about to come in the time. We said we'll get the First Nations for accepting the World Peace Treaty, and we've seen it in the past 7 days. And the new government will be signing itself into the World Peace Treaty. We're on target. We need one nation to start, and the nation which is going to sign is where we are, because they already declared themselves to it in the presence of United Nations and other world leaders. So the pattern is set. My wish is my command. We have wished it, we have achieved it. And it had to be where we are, not another country, another position. The world leaders are ready for peace, and Ghana has set the first stone. In the coming days, the papers have been drawn up. Another world leader will sign into it. Those who are close to the foundation, they know exactly what's going on. It's our wish, and the wish of the Keshe Foundation supporters is pure and very strong when we achieve it. Does not matter how the others kick and cry. Any other question?
I think we have several other questions here. I'm wondering if there's anybody that wants to actually speak right now.
Arman, have you managed to find any of our, John, the videos which you stand on the ladder to show the size of the field in the lab? If you find it, or the donut shape one, can we add to it, please? I think those are nice to see, that people can see the full structure.
You know, it's very difficult for us to find those because we had about 15 or 20 different videos, and I have to watch them all. They're private; they're not on the other channels, so I can't find it readily. And I think Armin would probably have the same challenge if he was to try to find it. You would have to watch a lot of videos to try to find exactly the one that's appropriate. But basically, what happened was there was if you can imagine, there was much more of a donut shape where the fields came down into a toroid, and it had to do with a video that we put out where we were at about the 12-foot mark with the fields, and you know, there wasn't a whole bunch more to the video other than when we found the height of the video, or the height of the fields, we were trying to gauge that for where we would set our center reactor, so that we got it at the correct height. So
try to find it for next week. We can show it in addition, because the space program, especially program, becomes gradually the main focus of the teaching.
So one more thing that I'd like to share with everybody, they didn't see, or it was hard to see the inside of those MagGravs. We're not using any capacitors with them. Once we get past I'll say the first is plugged into the wall, and then once we get past the first transformer, which are neon light transformers, everything at that point becomes DC energy. So we have the ability to do away with the capacitors and go direct wire to wire. And we can also do things like move from magnetic to gravitational fields relatively easy. We can control the flow of the fields, which is important.
Thank you very much. Armand, is there anything you want to add in the background? Is Armand around? Hello. Do you see Armand?
Trying to see him here. I don't think he's in as a panelist right now.
He was there before, but he checked out.
Yeah, he's not online on Zoom at the moment.
Oh, he's gone to sleep. It's late. It's 3-4 o'clock in Los Angeles. Are there any other questions?
Okay, let me see here. We do have a couple of, I got some pictures of a Starship configuration and some questions about it, if you want to
let's check
in that.
Let's see. Yes, please.
Okay. Do a new share. Okay. Okay, I guess you can see that, eh? It's come through okay?
Yes.
This is Mark excuse me, Mark Henry, and he responds, hi Rick, I've been watching your plasma group and working in the background on different aspects of this technology. My job limits my time to join your group live, but I can make time in the future. I've attached a few photos for your reference because of some questions I have regarding the next steps in this process. You're welcome to make these photos and email public. So he says, first point, all 23 motors are DC 18,000 RPM rated. There's 5 separate speed controllers, and the acrylic cores that we see here are placed on the motors only to see their placements, and the ball sizes and material and the GANs mixture and single, double, or triple cores have yet to be determined. So there's this picture. I can just
stop.
Okay.
What we see there is perfect in choice of material for you to fly or to be able to achieve to see effects. You have 2 cores. make sure your center core is heavily oxidized ganses, which means use CO2, zinc oxide, copper oxide, brass, oxide content materials. Try not to use lead if you can. Use silver, and in that center core to fill it up, use measure it exactly, certain amount of aluminium, and with it allow adding of a cold caustic, very small amount. Crunch the aluminium foil and let the caustic inside. Add about 5% of CH3 to it. That should be the combination of your center core. What happens is that the aluminium has a reason in that mixture. If you use the GaNs of the material or you use the liquid plasma of the GaNs, I'll explain to you exactly why and how things work there. The CH3 gives you the energy. The caustic in conjunction with the aluminium will give you the additional energy to make it more interactive, where the hydrogen gives and where the oxygen takes, and this creates dynamism. Your outer core should be consist of CH3 and aluminium foil in different quantities as you decide, with addition of some caustic. The same process starts where in the reactors at the moment you build, the oxidization of the aluminium will occur inside the core. You can add a small amount of CO2 in the outer core to allow the oxygenation of the aluminium as well. So what happens? You seal your center core and you do not touch it anymore. That is sacrosanct, that you don't touch. Now you have a base. This is what I'm teaching to the other research centers. What you have is interaction of the energy which is released and absorbed in the center core. You have the hydrogen as a link connection. You have aluminium in the center, especially if you use some GaNs of aluminium and some, because now you have to realize your aluminium is in a GaNs state in the core because it physically exists. You don't have a plasma of it. It's a physical material. If you allow some GaNs material in your inner core before you seal it, like zinc oxide and the other, go back into the blueprints of the Keshe Foundation. I checked this again with the Innovation Center and the blueprints this week for confirmation. If you go back to the original work, when we start showing the first things where you could see the bubbles of GaNs rotating, going up and falling off, in all of them there is aluminium. So now in having aluminium in the outer core and you're having aluminium in the inner core, this gives the dynamism as they try to move the dynamism of the center core in conjunction with the outer core. You connect with the CH3 the field transfer. With the physical existence of the aluminium in oxide shape becomes a GaNs of itself and in inner, and being dynamic in more rotating in the inside in comparison to the other nanomaterials, GaNs materials inside the inner core, you create a rotation and motion without any motors. In a way, if you look back, the olden cars, we used to have a handle turning to start the motor. If you remember that far, or if you've seen it in the movies, now the aluminium becomes that handle. But initiates from the center, the motion. As the bubbles of aluminium try to come up, they tune with the one outside because they're made of the same. And you see the rotation. Do not touch the inner core any further. If you don't see any motion or rotation in the center, it means now instead of less measurement, because we do it in one innovation center. For the center, you choose, let's say, 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter aluminum foil you put in there. You have to remember, go into the, what do you call it, mathematical calculation, and you see the volume of, if your inner core is 2 centimeter and your outer core is 5 centimeter, it's a huge difference in ratio of the volume. So by order of magnitude of the amount you have, if you had 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter aluminum foil in the center, in the outer, by the same ratio of volume order of magnitude, you have to increase the size of the aluminum. Don't do it necessarily all in one ball. Cut it into 4 or 5 pieces, that the reaction can be. But be careful, there is a heat production that it can loosen your joints, or what you call the seals. Some of these plastics don't stand the high heat, they melt. Or they start leaking. The leakage of the material, mainly CH3, you see first is because it goes to the boundary. That is an element CH3 which hits the boundary. It goes by the order of magnitude. The heaviest goes outside. So the first leakage you will see is the CH3. You see an orange if you have a CH3 or a plasma CH3. The first liquid contains the heaviest elements. So it means that the field inside the inner core is pushing. You need to reach a minimum of 5 to 7,000 RPM. This is crucial. Those of you who work on the below speed, you will see no result, you get disappointed. This is due to the fact of the potential difference, or what we call the plasmatic magnetic field difference between the magnetical and gravitational. So that has a limit of ignition. It's just like till you don't strike the match at the right temperature, it doesn't come on. This is what you have with your system. You need to lock, you need to concentrate, the concentration of the field, which is important. So if you don't see anything by the order of magnitude, you increase, instead of, let's say, inside you had 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter aluminum foil, outside you put 8 by 8, and you don't see that much result. You don't touch the center. You open the outside, and this time you go by 10 centimeter, 10 centimeter. You go 12 centimeter by 12 centimeter. You go to the next one, 16, till you start seeing reactions. Don't forget all the time, you need NaOH, which the oxygen from the NaOH will give you partially the oxidization of the aluminum GaN C1. So you create your alkalineness by the conversion of the aluminum to hydrogen and creation of the aluminum oxide from the NaOH. The the sodium Na will become itself part of the system. The hydrogen becomes part of the plasma. And this is the process you will see. You have to add slowly, slowly, till you start seeing the center ball lifting up to the center and it start rotating on its own. And then you increase the amount of the aluminum, again another further step, till you see the rotation. Then you see, once the center core start rotating on its own, it means you can switch off, disconnect your motors, and you will see the two balls will start reacting. You disengage your motor from the power, not from taking the balls off. And then if you can achieve, you find a balance between one core, the rest will show the same, and then you will achieve your whole lift and the structure. You have to follow the procedure, otherwise you will not get there, and then you get disappointed. We've seen this over time. A lot of people try it, but they don't follow just because it's there. I've even noticed that with our own people. a lot of people, I look and I see across the internet, and Caroline and the others keep on telling me, a lot of people are making nanomaterials totally the wrong way, and that's why they're getting disappointed. They're making the GaNs the wrong way. Please follow the procedure we set up in production of the GaNs, in production of nanomaterial. Do not touch your nanomaterial. Those who make fire coating will see different results. Those of you who make what I call electricity coating, you see different results. Those of you who do the nanocaustic steaming, you see different results. We see success with the people who have followed the procedure we set up with a deep caustic nano coating. Most of them achieve results. Those of people who do their own innovations and then they cannot see, or they see different effects, they create different effects. But the way I have set up the production of nanomaterial, the production of the GaNs material, is the way I have achieved, and I've seen all the results, and we can say, and there is, you cannot repeat what I've done. You do different things and then you get disappointed. Let me explain to you. If you understand the world of materials, I've explained this, then you understand fully. In the world of metallurgy, when we have a steel, don't forget, I'm a nuclear physicist, I understand the full structure, how we produce. I have diplomas and degrees in the structure of the metals, understanding the process of producing metals, what it does, how you produce it, how you handle it. There's no difference. In metallurgy, in steel production, for example, when we get an iron, we add certain amount of carbon, we get different behavior. The softness of steel is the same. How much you add CO2 in the structure of the GaNs, you get different behavior from zinc oxide and copper oxide. So it's softness, the dimension, the structure of the carbon which gives you that, because it's like a sliding plasma. Then in a steel production, we heat up the steel to a high temperature, and how we allow it to come out, it gives us different type of steel. If we quench it in the cold water, it becomes brittle. If we let it cool very, very slowly, it's known as annealing, it becomes different behavior at different temperature, depends when we cool it afterwards, how rapid we cool it afterwards. It's the same the way you make nanomaterials. When you make a nanomaterial in the deep caustic, suddenly high temperature, you create the condition of the release of nanomaterial in the way it's needed to become GaNs. The spacing is correct, everything else is correct. Then when you add this material into the GaNs, that depending on the dilution, depends how many and how you release the structure. Up to now, everybody does whatever they like. That's how the technology should be. But if you follow the way we do in our production, in the factories, in the research, in development, we don't see much success with fire nanocoating in the way we expect. And that's why a lot of people get disappointed, because it creates different kind of nano layer. Compactness, very compact, very, very tight. And so the release of different strength grabs, magnetic gravitational plasma, is released in GaNs. So that GaNs is slightly different than the way it's done with caustic. With the NOH, more or less, we have fixed the temperature, we have fixed it. I want to share something with you that is important. Can I share a screen, please? This goes back to the original of teaching. If you remember, a few weeks ago, I explained this very, very clearly, and now we go just adding to the knowledge, because it's important we understand this process. If you remember, I showed the metal, a copper, let's say. What is happening here? We go back in. If you have a copper here,
yes. You have to reflect the tool. Yes.
I know I have a little button on this in this thingy which causes most of my problem. I'm gonna stop sharing and share again. I touched the button on the pen. Okay, we clear out. If we remember all our teaching, we did the copper wire. Then I explained into how by nano coating, by caustic, we created the nano spacing. And then we explained in our teaching how by putting it in the new, this was the condition of Earth condition. This is atmospheric condition. Now we have created a sodium condition, which is all to do with NOH and NCl. So now in adding the what I call another environment of nanomaterial in condition of new environment, we created our GaNs. On the metal side, what we achieve is we go the same way. We go in a way on a spacing in a different way in respect to atmosphere. We go from the solid into liquid, and if we allow it and heat it up and put more energy into it, we go into what we call gas state. But there is addition to the information to the knowledge, and let's look at it this way. If we allow this gas state, now that we have separated it into the liquid, into the gas, then what you actually see is repetition of what you had. You achieve your GaNs nanolayers. The fourth state of matter coming from the matter itself. Here, because of atmospheric condition, the knowledge of the man has been blocked. With the interaction of the new environment, which is Na, we can carry on with the same. This is what we call it, GaNs. Gases at a nano stage. And this is what you have. Gas here, creating the right condition, becomes GaNs. Because now that it's more free, we can act on it. With a caustic, the way we use, we catch the gases here. Now you understand. With the gas nano coating, we try to change this environment to achieve this, to go there. What we capture at a high temperature conversion of the gases, trying to push them back on the plate because we blow it with a fire. The same is with the electric. We push the current through, trying to achieve interact with outside. With the way I produce GaNs, we work in this way, and that's why we call it the GaNs. When we heat it up, that it goes so fast, but cannot go, it becomes to its nano gas state, and then we pick it up and we become GaNs. So the way you produce your GaNs material is important, and you see different results. With electric current, you have a push from underneath. This nano structure in strength is not the same as this nano structure, even though it's nano, because you pushed it further. The way you do it with the steaming is the same. The way it works, and we see working up to now here, is the way we create condition with caustic. If you change the nano to magnesium or potassium or whatever, then you decide the strength of, is it at this level or at this level, which atomic structure from inside. This is crucial to understand, and I'm realizing more and more that a lot of people haven't understood this. And this is what we need to understand, why some of you do not see results, or not the result you want. Today's teaching is very, I go back on it. What John showed you is significant, but you looked at the wall. You saw the way the nanomaterial was connected. He energizes the nanomaterial, which pressurizes the gas inside the ball, which releases its field 20, 50, 100 meters aside. You have the system in your hand. All of you have this. I explained to you how you have it. You made the maglev system, and I showed you the ball. You already have this technology. You put the ball inside your, what I call 90-degree maglev units. Is there any difference between this and this? This is how you make powerful systems. Because now you dictate it, because now you pressurize, you put the field inside. So if you make your ball, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I dropped out for a few seconds. I'm back in again.
You have to repeat the last minute or so of what you were saying.
Oh, what did you hear? You had
just a couple of seconds.
Now.
The last we heard is there any difference between the ball on the motor or they're inside the 90-degree?
Yeah, I stopped because I saw the screen dropping off. So now you see you have, just 1 second, I have to stop this. What you have is, what you have to understand is how far you already had the knowledge, but don't make a connection. You can put the coils around the ball, or you can make the strength of the coil high enough that it can reach the core. So everything is available. All the knowledge is there for you to achieve, to go to the next step. The reason you saw the expansion and the closing of the gates, what they call the doors, is the same. You close the loop, and then, because now you close the loop, the pressure goes on the center, and as you put pressure on it, it expands the field out. You trap the magnetical, you increase the gravitational, and when the gravitational reaches a point, it opens out. In a way, you have the plasma system, you pressurize it, in pressurizing, it breaks out itself. All of you who made the coils and you made maglev systems, reload the balls in your maglev system at home. In a very heavy direction, you will see the fields. You will walk in the house and you see the lights. We saw this with the test Ali did in Canada, and everybody lost the track of it. They could see lights in different part of the room. All of you who made the maglev systems are on the flight mode. It's just that you don't know how to ignite it. Everything is there. And how you can handle it, how you can trigger it. how we see this set, this 12 set to 18, 23 cores. If you choose the right approach, if you choose the right weight, the table will fly. There is nothing wrong with it, but you have to know how to load it. I explained to you, follow the way we set out, you will achieve it. It's not that it's the only way. This is the only way we see in the atmospheric condition of this planet can be done. Outside, you do different games. Carry on, please, Rick. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, carry on. Don't forget, we have a time limit on our teachings. Huh?
And Mr. Keshe, I have a question. Rick, can I ask a question?
Can we carry on with this 1 second, please, Azar? The other people come in, please. Carry on with the pictures, please, Rick.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Let me get that back up. See, I had that temporarily down here. I just have to get back. Okay. Well, we did show all the pictures that were in that batch. There was 4 of them in that case, and I could show a different reactor that's also being worked on for a spaceship configuration, or we can go on to some other things. Let me try to get that picture back. I'm just having some difficulty here relocating it. Just a minute.
What is our time limit on the, what do you call it?
We're currently at about 3.5 hours.
2.5 hours or 3.5 hours?
We're at 3.5 right now.
Okay.
And,
No, he's referring to the time limit on Facebook.
Pardon?
What's the time limit on Facebook?
4 hours.
It's 4 hours.
Okay, so I've got the video here, the picture rather. Let me get it on to sharing. Okay, so make it a bit larger as well. There we go. Okay, so we see the side view here, and then I was scrolling through, and we see the underneath view, and there's a further top view, which is interesting. Now, it goes on in the email. So many windows open here. Just bear with me. Okay. He had a series of questions, mostly which you've already answered, Mr. Keshe. So he was wondering about, do you have any suggestions on this particular setup, and what set of cores need separate speed controllers? Maybe there would be some general advice. You mentioned RPMs and so on, but would there be a particular set of reactors that would be under one speed, let's say?
It's what we've seen with this acrylic ball is mainly leakage. The leakage, it doesn't mean that the system is wrong. It means the field you created inside is too strong. So it pushes the boundary of the matter state. Do not give up just because you have a leakage. You carry on with the system. It means your plasma is built up. A lot of people, when they get the leakage, there's something wrong, or when they see the reactor stops, there is something wrong. No, just carry on the process. When you have a leakage in this level, try to see it the best you can. It's usually when the field builds up and the centrifuge field, it pushes back out. Carry on. What's the next question?
Well, I know that Paul from Togo would like to show his new health unit that he's got, and you mentioned the fields raising and lowering. Well, he's got a nifty sort of invention.
If you want to show his videos or his pictures, please.
I think Paul is on.
Just show the pictures and then Paul can add. Because when Paul comes on, we go for 2 or 3 hours. We don't get everything in one go.
Well, let me show the box. This is a work in progress, so it's not complete.
I've seen the pictures, yes. I've seen, he sent me the pictures. Do you want to share it?
Yeah, I'll get it here. Here we go. And I'll make it a little bigger so people can see it easier on the live stream.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the basic box, I guess, of this new health unit. And let's see, there's a...
Let me explain to you, you're supposed to go inside this unit.
Right, yeah, I didn't figure that out on the first series of pictures.
But it's a size dependent. It's a waist size dependent on how you can get in it.
It's not a small box, as you'll see in the little video that he sent me here recently.
Okay.
So I'll play that.
Can you show it, please?
Yes. Okay. Share. And let me share the sound. There we go. Okay, so you kind of get more of the idea of what this device is looking like here. Let me play this.
It's a movable MRI system. Instead of the patient moves, the system moves.
Yes, kind of. And it's actually quite intriguing in a way, and kind of innovative. So
we saw yesterday in the medical teaching a version, much simpler version of this with one of the doctors. And it's very, very interesting how this is developing. Much simpler way was shared by with the doctors yesterday, and it's tubing that actually is solid state. And then I said, how do you get the patients inside? Says the patient walks in the middle tube, and then they bring it up, put them, position them, and it's very flexible, the sizes and the points. We might show that later on. Anything else? I presume he's going to put 6 dynamic cores around this to be able to change.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's able to say anything about that, but yeah, this is a work in progress, and definitely it has to be.
When they finish, we let Paul show us what he's done, how he's doing with it.
Right. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, there's always more things. I'm just trying to see if there's anything important that a question I might.
What I would like to add to a knowledge in the short time we have, we can carry on, and if we can reload the Facebook, this is something which we have taught in the private teachings, and we usually bring private teachings and a handful of people or the number of doctors or the scientists understand to share. I would like to share the screen, please. This is for those of you who work. Can you allow me to share? Yeah, thank you very much. This is the add to the knowledge, and it's important. We shared it with the doctors yesterday, and I shared it with the others for past few years, but it is important to come to full understanding. If you go back to book number 1 and book number 2, this has been explained. If you go into the patents, it's written in the patent, especially the medical application patent. If you go into the teaching of past few weeks, past few months and years, we spoke with about a CO2. I'm going to change the color that you can see easier. We spoke about a CO2. and the CO2, how CO2 affects the viruses. What we have seen is that in the clinical test, in every other things we do, we have the, let's say, Ebola or HIV as a virus. As we explained in other teaching, with these viruses, you have the amino acid and you have a backpack energy, which we call it the viruses. Depending on its strength, we have given them different names. But in fact, what is important is that this amino acid inside, which is your NOH, Mr. Cohen, is always the same. We saw how, because of the dynamic shape of the plasma in interaction with this material, we have managed to change its strength, and in a way we see the end, how it works and how it has interacted. We seen that's why the gases are very effective in respect to viruses. One of the points which has been a stumbling block and we had to look into to explain, and it's been explained in many of the teaching, is that what do we do with problems, microbes, germs, parasites, which are amino acid based? Let me just, I have to stop this. The amino acid based entities do not have extra energy. The amino acid based entities have and partially can be affected by the CO2, but not all of it. When we cultured bacteria and microbes and things like this in the laboratory, we see partially but not fully effective. Go back into the teaching. Here with CO2, the viruses have changed the strength. With amino acid based, we have to find a new solution. We cannot touch the carbon because it just changes the line of communication. We cannot change the oxygen because it's the holding. It can increase the strength of the field of the plasma or reduce the plasma of the amino acid. Hydrogen is a link for transferring or deciding on a full size dimension and transfer of energy in and out. Nitrogen is the decider of how much this plasma will dictate in its transfer of energy in its size. So we cannot touch the O and C at the moment. In a future teaching, I'll show you the effectiveness of how you can work with these. But what we see, we can change the nitrogen. Those of you who work around trying to sort out something for bacteria, for microbes, for parasites, you have to bring your attention into production of nitrogen. You can do two ways. You can use nitrites to create nitrogen oxide, or to create energy that you can interact with nitrogen, that you can handle microbes, parasites, and bacteria. Because these are earthly dependent, so you have to dictate the condition of the earth, which dictates their size and the position. When you produce the different amino acids with copper or zinc, you saw how different shape and color and orientation and thickness of the amino acid on top of the box, on top of the water. So this should have given you an indication. Something is dictating the size of the and the shape of the amino acid, and that is the nitrogen. The strength of the nitrogen which that environment creates and attracts. So if you are going into the next step of the health application or germs or bacteria, you have to consider the introduction of the nitrogen into the process. But when you introduce nitrogen in a scientific way, you have to understand what it affects, what it works, and how you're affecting it. The work of the nitrogen comes in not in a matter state, but in a gaseous state. But when the nitrogen is in a gaseous state, it's in a plasmatic vacuum condition of the body of the man. It works on the transfer of energy which it gives to the hydrogen. And if you look at it, we always said the hydrogen is at the end. So the energy received by the release or interaction of the nitrogen dictates the position and the strength of the absorption and reduction of the fields at the end of the plasma, which is what we call Coulomb's barrier or plasmatic barrier. So what you need to take a step further is the change of nitrogen dictates the structure of the amino acid. So if you change the strength of this or affect the operation of this, you can handle anything which is amino acid based. So if you understand this, you can go in changing all the bacteria. People who had a problem with solving malaria should understand this. One of the best ways to handle, to create the material to handle nitrogen is get collaboration from another material which is connected to the behavior of nitrogen. One of these materials is silver nitride, because already has a position and condition, and nitrogen responds to silver nitride in its atomic decay structure. I have taught this yesterday in the medical application. We don't have much time. I try to condense it and we go on it next time. The reason for it and the operation of it, next teaching, I'll go into it in depth. But for the time being, till next week, I would like to explain to you how this works and how it's effective. Those of you who handle parasites, those of you who handle microbes and bacteria, you have to look into existence of nitrogen and the centralization of it. It's in the book 1.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello.
We lost his connection, but he's still on the list of panelists.
Yeah, and it's still showing that. Whoops, the video. Oh, no.
It was a dropout there.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Hello again.
I'm back again. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, you just
I stopped when you fell out. When I fell out, I stopped. I could see it. So what we see is that we need to add to the knowledge that all of us understand the work of the bacteria and microbes and parasites. This is why some of you have a success with parasites, with malaria, and some of you don't. Some of them have problem with the infection, some of you don't. It depends on what strength you use and you chose to interact with the nitrogen. On next week's teaching, we'll go in depth in this because that's a new opening in the world of science of medicine and the operation of the body. You need to know it for deeper space, because without it, you will have a huge problem to sustain the body of the man in the space and in its own total integrity. So those of you who are working on that side, look into the nitrogen nitroxide, look at the silver nitride, and then I show you the full structure, why and how silver has been one of the main, what we call materials which has been used for centuries by people, because now you understand the scientific purpose, the what do you call it, the knowledge behind it, and how it operates and how it connects to the body of the man. Any other question, or we're getting to our closing time?
You're getting close, yes. Jackie had sent me a comment that he had something to show on Magravs positioning. Maybe
Okay.
Jackie, want to say something about that or show what you have? See if
Yes, if you want, if you have time, or next time.
You got 5 minutes, Jackie.
Yeah, it's no problem. 1 minute will.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Because like you said, we go through the teaching really fast, and now I start again and I try to connect the dots. And here, this experience, what I'm trying to do, it's position these particles in space. And
What
my
is
goal-
that?
It's it's a carbon structure, so it's like a burn materials. And what I want, my wish was to not have at the top and not at the down, but I want this in the middle, like a spaceship floating in the sky. And by the Magravs positioning, by the interaction of the fields going down and pushing up, I just try to get in the right position. And now I can make it go down, or I can make it goes up. And what is really interesting, we don't really see very well, but here you can see it's something like this, the flow pushing but in that direction and going outside the container, positioning in that direction and the other direction. And now I start trying to master this. You know, I can position matter in space. And the games become really nice and very fun to play with all this. Now my problem, it's my limitation, it's only on the liquid. And I'm not so good on swimming, so now I need to go to the next step, no more on the liquid, but on the fields. But it's really nice to see. It's a very good play and very beautiful things. And the last things I want to show, because I think it's related to, because it's part of the experimentation. It's yeah. I just want to, the new way of, I just go back to the basics. I redo my nano coating on the bottle and it changed everything, because now it's a totally new power of strength. But what I want to show you, it's this picture. Let me just take the right one. Here we go. It's different setup when we start playing with the matter. And you create different conditions. Let me start from the beginning. Yeah. You see with the interaction, we play with the GANs, you play with the nanomaterials, you structure in different ways. You put in liquid, then you remove the water, you let it evaporate, and then you have a lot of different structure and different creation. And when you play with different elements, different conditions, this is one kind. This is more like horizontal life, when you add a lot of magnesium, and you get structure like vegetables like this, trees, and then you can have a totally another structure, amino base. This is more the iron base animals, like the blood in the man. You have a totally different structure in the amino base, and then you can have another one. It's quite a mix between the two, So you get a totally new one structure with the diamond crystals coming inside, and then you have another one, more, another structure, another condition. Every time it's the same, it's the GANs, but then you start playing with the GANs, you start playing with the interaction of the different elements. You add iron, you add magnesium, you add calcium, you add different things, and you get different results. And so here you have the full, the different planets, different stars. Just the change, it's that you change the condition and the environment, the matter state is totally changing. And you can change from one state to another. And the result of all this experimentation was the first experimentation on the McGrath positioning. And we are quite advanced in that. I have no more time to experiment all this short time because we are moving so nice with the private teaching on the KFSSI, translating all the materials. But when you start getting the knowledge going again, all the teachings, your experimentation, you don't need to have so many times because you start understanding what you are doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jackie. Thanks for all your work in the background.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shall we call it a day? We are closing to the gap before we lose another channel. Is that okay with you, Rick?
Rick?
Has Rick dropped off?
No, I just dropped my microphone chat thing there. Yes, that'd be fine. Let's show the, there's a public meeting for the testimonials that's coming up. I think that's what Stanley's trying to show. Why don't you talk about it, Stanley, and I'll just show it here as a screen share. Get it up.
Okay, this Monday, we are organizing the first meeting for people to come and share their plasma experience. Anybody is invited, any language. We hope to have always somebody in the room to translate, or that person will present the experience in his or her language, no matter what. We are recording everything. So we are encouraging anyone that has the experience to share this with others around the world.
Can you tell us what is UTC, please?
Universal Time, Greenwich Time.
Greenwich Time.
London Time.
Okay, no problem. It's not universal, since you should put Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. Universe has a different time. And London hasn't become the center of the universe yet. Even the British would like to think that way.
I don't know why they changed GMT.
Maybe we can talk about that universal time, and it's probably the topic of the whole workshop.
Yeah, no problem. Any other points, or shall we call it day? Please do not forget that you can apply to do a master's degree in farming and fishing, and at the same time we try to expand the knowledge, and we'll see where we go. And for the first time, you've seen the fields of what we call the spaceship. You've seen the dimension of it, the size of it, and next week we'll try to get the videos out that you see it in more clear ways and different ways. But I hope we carry more knowledge with us than when we started this morning. Thank you very much for today.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. And we'll end today's workshop. I was trying to find the last screen to put up there, but it's very.
You want to keep broadcasting for
Here
YouTube.
it is. Right. Thank you for that reminder. And there, I found the the little video that Clint spent so much time putting together, and that will be nice to share at the end here. And thank you everybody for attending the 149th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute for Thursday, December 8th, 2016. And I will keep the Zoom channel open for a few extra seconds while we close the live stream here. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thanks, Rick.
And bye to everyone for now. I'll keep the Zoom open for a bit.